Previously on Dragon Ball Hakai, after the invasion of the Celestial Mages in search for the cocoon of the 5 great primordial beasts, the gods from Zeno's realm meet to discuss everything that happened and think about the next steps. With the mages' declaration of war made by Odisu, the great mage of the elements, now the gods and mortals of the 12 universes need to prepare for the battle to come. How do gods and mortals intend to prepare? Find out now. Hakai. Chapter 29. The Training Journey Begins. Part 1. After the meeting, the gods of Universe 6 return. Goku, Lei, and Vados have just arrived on the planet of destruction in Universe 6. Goku makes a comment about the meeting that just took place. Man, that meeting was intense. It looks like now we have a big problem to solve. In these 6 months to come, I'm going to train really hard to control and perfect my God of Destruction powers. And then I'm going to finish off that guy called Odisu and all the Celestial Mages. After making all these positive statements, Goku turns to Lei and asks, "And you, Miss Lei, what are you going to do now?" With an expression of someone who is not very excited, Lei responds, "After all the chaos and destruction that you and that scoundrel caused in the universe, I have a lot to do. I think I'll start with planet Earth, because the way you left that planet's ecosystem, I think Earthlings may not survive for long." When he hears this and remembers everything that happened, Goku loses some of the excitement he was showing before. He says, "It's true. After I lost control, I ended up destroying many things and taking countless lives." Lei tries to console Goku. "Oh, don't be like that, Mr. Goku. From what little I understand, it wasn't you at that moment, so there's no reason to blame yourself." However, Goku is not convinced by her words. "Thank you for the comfort, Miss Lei. However, even though I wasn't the one who did those things, it could have been avoided if I had better control of my own power. So I can't pretend I'm not to blame." Lei sighs, feeling sorry for Goku's pain, and then says, "In that case, I wish you good luck then." And she disappears from that planet. She says, "Kai." Despite everything, Goku remains determined. Turning to Vados, he says, "Miss Vados, let's start training right now. I will only stop when I have that beast under control." Vados likes his attitude and says, "That's how I like it." A few days later in Universe 11, a beam of light travels through the vacuum of space at very high speed. This beam of light only stops when it lands on a planet, where it is revealed that those who were traveling were Belmod and Margarita, the god of destruction and the angel of Universe 11. Belmod notices something peculiar about that place, commenting to Margarita the following: "Although it doesn't seem like it from afar, when we touch the ground on this planet, we can see that its structure is hanging by a thread." Margarita explains, "It's the fault of that energy he's emanating, which has enough power to tear this entire planet to pieces. But he's emanating this great energy at the same time as he controls it, and that's why the structure of the planet is maintained at its limit, however, intact." Belmod doesn't seem surprised and comments with a proud smile. As expected of him, the control over his monstrous power grows day by day. The person on this planet is Jiren, sitting in a meditation posture while exhaling a thin layer of energy from his body, but which seems to have enough power to shake the entire ecosystem of that planet. Already noticing the visitors and apparently not happy with their presence, Jiren asks, "What do you want here?" Belmod, already close to the Grey Warrior, says, "Since the Tournament of Power, you have increased your power even more, Jiren. That is good. However, it is insufficient given the challenges we are facing." Impatiently ignoring Belmod's first comment, Jiren repeats his question. "I'll repeat the question. What do you want here?" The god of destruction begins to explain himself. "For all these years you denied our training and managed to evolve thanks to your talent, pride, and determination, but that alone will not be enough to deal with what we are going to face. Come with us and let us prepare you. With Margarita's help and mine, you will certainly evolve much more." Jiren refuses the offer. "I already said no. I will become stronger and take revenge on that demon on my own." But Belmod insists. "In 6 months, the Celestial Mages intend to put their plans into practice, and if Calamore went with them, it means that he intends to join the other primordial beasts and become Zarat again, thus ceasing to exist. In other words, you only have 6 months to strengthen yourself to the point where you have any chance of defeating him. You've been training on your own for decades, but there's still a long way to go. What makes you think that in the little time you have left, you will make it?" Faced with the Destroyer's arguments, Jiren finds himself unable to refute, making his defeat evident in his expression. On the planet of destruction in Universe 7, Beerus tries to fish, while an earthquake that affects the planet shakes the waters of the lake and angers the god of destruction. "What a pain. I can't even fish properly with this idiot making all this fuss." In another part of the planet, a high amount of destruction energy is released by someone. This someone is Vegeta, who transforms into Ultra Ego, has his eyes closed, focused on what he is doing. Vegeta opens his eyes, focusing on the rock standing next to him, and then he shouts, Hakai. When Vegeta points one of his hands at the stones, all of them are destroyed in an instant, creating a chain effect of explosions. After this happens, Whis approaches, praising his student. Very good, Mr. Vegeta. Your control over Hakai and this transformation is improving. Despite his master's praise, Vegeta expresses his dissatisfaction as he returns to base form. No, this improvement is significant. If I want to surpass Kakarot and also be on par with these celestial mages, I need much more than that. Ordinary training is not enough. I need to push my body to its extreme limits. Tell me, is there any anti-life dimension except for the one I destroyed, Whis? Whis responds and explains, No, that dimension is unique in this universe. In fact, you did some harm to the balance of the universe by destroying it. Right now, the Kaioshin must be working hard to restore it, but it will take some time. This answer makes Vegeta need to think. In that case, I need to find another way to challenge my limits. But who besides Kakarot could push me to evolve? After asking him this question, Vegeta himself finds the answer. That's right! Whis is curious when he realizes that the Saiyan has a new idea, and he also seems a little worried, as Saiyan's ideas are always unpredictable. In Universe 6, in the dimension inside Vados' staff, great destruction can be seen, giving the impression that a fierce battle took place there. Goku falls to his knees, apparently very tired from a difficult fight. However, even though he is clearly exhausted, he wants to continue and asks Vados, Okay, Miss Vados, let's continue. The angel, on the other hand, has a different idea. Wait, Lord Goku, maybe we should take a break. No way! I'm still a long way from achieving ideal control of my energy of destruction. That's true, but continuing to train mindlessly like crazy won't help much either. Considering Earth time, we've been training incessantly for 5 days, and yet your progress has been almost nil. If we continue like this, 6 months will pass and nothing will change. Goku is amazed and frustrated by his master's statements. So what should we do, Miss Vados? At first my training was so promising, but now I feel like my progress has been stalled. This is completely common. Normally a god of destruction takes centuries or even millennia to be able to properly control their energy of destruction. You have achieved the feat of greatly improving your performance even in this very short time as a deity. But given the level you have already reached, it's normal for your progression to be slower from now on. Even with Vados' statements explaining that all this is normal, Goku does not accept this situation and says, But it's precisely now that I need to progress faster than ever. Is there nothing I can do to speed up my evolution? Faced with her student's stubbornness, Vados begins a monologue to explain things better to him. Let me explain it so you understand. As I have said many times, your main source of power as a god of destruction is your energy of destruction, which is the spiritual being that has developed within you. The more control you have over this energy, the more power you will be able to use in battle, with less risk of losing control. The main goal of your training is to have better control of this energy, and that's the only thing that matters now. I already understand that part. I just need you to tell me what to do to have better control. Vados patiently explains to Goku what the problem is. The problem is that the more you advance in controlling this energy, the more difficult it is to continue advancing. In these first months of training, you were able to learn to better control your energy with simple meditation and using this power in physical training. But the mastery you achieve through these means is still superficial. And to move forward from now on, you need a much deeper contact with this energy and integrate with it body and soul. This is a process that does not just depend on effort, it requires time and coexistence with your new nature. And that's why it's useless to continue with this training we're doing. I needed these last few days to test your development and confirm this, but unfortunately, I now see that we have reached an impasse. Vados' words leaves Goku very discouraged. So you mean to say that no matter how much I train, I won't be able to advance anymore? All I can do is sit back and hope I learn to live with my own power? She responds, It's not as simple as just sitting and waiting. This is a long and complex work that requires a deep understanding of yourself and the functioning of your energy of destruction. And also, Vados pauses her explanation when she notices Goku's extreme discouragement. She then sympathizes and makes a revelation to him. But the answer is no. Sitting and waiting is not the only option you have. There is another method of advancing faster and mastering your energy of destruction, but I must warn you that success in this method is very rare, and it's very dangerous as a method. Obviously, this completely changes Goku's mood, and his hope is renewed. Is it serious? So tell me what method this is, Miss Vados. With his request, she begins to explain further. Everything I've told you so far is part of a single method of controlling your energy of destruction, which is the method of knowing the power of this energy to take it. Take? Goku is confused, and at the same time curious. Vados then explains further. Yes, this method consists of you learning the nature of this energy, discovering its functioning, synchronizing your power with that of the energy through this knowledge, and thus taking part of this power to use it. But besides this method, which is the most common, there is another, making your energy of destruction give you power on its own. Goku is very surprised when she says these things. Is it really possible to do that? And how do I do it? You have to convince your energy of destruction to do this. Convince? Yes. If you can convince your energy of destruction to give you power, you don't need to waste so much time learning how it works or taking power. From the moment you achieve a relationship of complete collaboration with your energy of destruction, your powers will have a much better synchronization, and you will access your maximum potential as a god of destruction. Goku is very intrigued when he hears all this, and then he asks, so I just ask? This seems kinda simple. Why is this method so rare? Obviously, things are not as simple as he thinks, and Vados explains why. Asking is really simple. The difficult thing is your energy of destruction accepting it. As you may have noticed, the nature of the energy of destruction is quite voracious and perfidious. Reaching a trustworthy agreement with these beings is very difficult. I only know of 2 gods of destruction who have managed to do this to date, and they are considered the most powerful Hakai in history. When Vados talks about the 2 gods of destruction, images of Pikkon and the god of destruction similar to Tapion come to mind, which is the same god that Kiboru mentioned on planet Chameleon as being a deserter who was never found. Vados doesn't say the names of these gods, so Goku doesn't know who they are. Not knowing who they are, he asks her, is Lord Beerus one of them? No. Although Lord Beerus was very good at controlling his energy of destruction, he is part of the large group of gods who only know how to take this power instead of having a collaborative relationship with his energy. When Goku hears this, he gets very excited and asks, so you mean if I can do this, I'll be stronger than Lord Beerus? But Vados' answer doesn't confirm what he wants. Look, I don't know if things are that simple, because I don't even know what the Beerus maximum capacity is, but what I can say for sure is that you will be much more powerful than you are today. Now looking much more serious, Vados issues an important warning. However, it's like I said, although it seems simple in theory, this method is very unlikely and risky, and if you fail, you could end up losing control of your own conscience forever. But even with this very serious warning from the angel, Goku ignores the danger, and full of determination he announces his decision. Miss Vados, tell me what I have to do. I'm going to try. And this is how Chapter 29 of Dragon Ball Hakai ends. But for this Dragon Ball Hakai returning special video, we're not going to show you just 1 chapter, but 2. So from now on, stay with Chapter 30 of Dragon Ball Hakai. Chapter 30, The Training Journey Begins, Part 2. In King Yema's palace, the soul of someone extremely important was about to arrive. Many souls pass through the great path that leads to the King Yema palace. Meanwhile, an ogre helps all these souls using a megaphone. All souls stand in a single file. You there, don't start a double line. Stay in this line, please. For King Yema, it's another normal day at work, but he ends up seeing someone who surprises him a little. God of Earth, what are you doing here? Something important must have happened. The person in front of Yema is Dende, who answers his question. It's just that an inhabitant of my planet has just left the world of the living, and he is so important that I simply couldn't help but come with him. The person Dende talks about approaches with discreet steps. Yema, when he sees this person, is very surprised. You! With a humble posture, the one who just arrived waves his arms and greets Yema. With a respectful smile, the great King Yema welcomes his soul. So you finally arrived here. It's a pleasure to meet you. That soul who just arrived, who from what is written on his clothes is called Tori, seems surprised to be known there. He asks himself, was I really that good of a mangaka? King Yema responds with all possible respect. No, you were the best. Taking a good look at his book, Yema says, your behavior on Earth was very good. You are a great hero to many people. Without a doubt, I will send you to heaven. But Dende warns that Tori's plans are different. King Yema, if it's not a problem, he would like to go see King Kai. Yema didn't expect that, and asked Tori, would you really rather take all the risks of the Snake Way to meet King Kai instead of going straight to heaven? Are you sure about that? Tori confirms. Yes, I'm sure. I see. I'll call a guide for you. Please go out there and wait. Tori hurries to follow Yama's instructions while thanking him. But it is Dende and Yama who thank him. "No, thank you," they say. Assisting Tori in front of the snake way, the guide says, "Just keep going forward following the snake. In the end, you will reach King Kai." Anxiously, Tori says, "Well, here I come." Tori takes an exciting leap to begin his journey on the snake way. The guide, who has a somewhat peculiar appearance for an ogre, thanks this good soul, who has just started his path. "Thank you, Sensei." Running at full speed, Tori exclaims, "I'm coming, King Kai." But after a few minutes, Tori didn't have that much energy anymore. And then he admits, "This is harder than I thought, but it's really fun." And this is the story of an illustrious soul who leaves the world of the living and is received with all the affection and the respect in the other world. This scene is a tribute from Dragon Ball Hakai to our great master, Akira Toriyama, creator of Dragon Ball, who unfortunately passed away recently. We on the Hakai team are very grateful to this great master, who with his wonderful works brought so much joy to our hearts. Goodbye, Akira Toriyama, and thank you very much for everything you've done for us. Back at King Yama's place, Dende says, "I'm going now, King Yama." But suddenly someone arrives at the place, to the surprise of Dende and Yama. And this person says, "God of Earth, I need to talk to you." For some reason, the presence of that person scared Dende and Yama. Who is this person? On planet Earth of Universe 7, all warriors train very hard in order to prepare for the war to come. But among everyone, the hardest workers are Gohan and Piccolo, who train intensely every day before and after Gohan goes to work. And at that moment, they do a training fight where no key attacks are allowed. And Gohan needs to fight using a form in which his power is on par with Piccolo's. Despite the fierce fight between the two, Piccolo manages to smile. He advances towards Gohan to throw a punch, which the Saiyan is preparing to deal with. Gohan dodges Piccolo's blow, and then counterattacks with a kick. With some effort, Piccolo manages to block the kick with his arms, and then praises his student. "In recent days, your combat skills have improved a lot, Gohan." He attacks with a kick, but Gohan deftly dodges the attack and manages to find an opening to land a solid elbow on his master. He then responds to the compliment with another compliment. "What can I say? I have a good master." Gohan tries to mount another attack, this time an uppercut aimed at Piccolo's chin. However, this time, Piccolo manages to dodge, grabs Gohan's wrist, and spins in the air, throwing him towards the ground. Gohan reaches the ground, barely managing to avoid crashing into the rocks, and in the next second he already needs to move to avoid being crushed by Piccolo, who only finds the rocks to crush. Piccolo doesn't intend to let Gohan have time to breathe, and so he immediately flies towards him to continue attacking. Gohan defends the first attack, and then they resume the exchange of blows, in which Gohan shows some disadvantage. Impressed by his master's performance, he comments, "You are also very strong, even more so than when we faced Moro and his men." Piccolo begins to respond, "Of course I do. I trained every day for all this time after all." A low kick comes, but Piccolo nimbly avoids it by jumping over the attack, surprising Gohan. "Unlike you, Saiyans, that evolve with incredible speed." Piccolo counterattacks with an overhead kick that Gohan has to put some effort to defend. But the first attack was just a distraction for the second. A kick from below that hits Gohan hard in the chin, destabilizing him. Piccolo then completes his sentence, "I really need to try hard to get stronger." Gohan's fall seems certain. However, the Saiyan raises his head with even more determination, and it is with this determination that he shouts in response to his master, "Don't talk like I'm not trying my best!" A stronger punch hits Piccolo's block, surprising him with its strength. Piccolo is thrown against the ground, which he collides with a few times as he tries to stop his body, until he finally succeeds with some difficulty. Gohan isn't done yet, going after his opponent in a powerful low flight, ready to deliver a very powerful blow. "I got you!" But Piccolo reacts, "Don't get too full of yourself." The Namekian makes dust rise from the ground, hitting Gohan in the face, especially his eyes. "Oh no, my eyes!" Blinded by the dust, the Saiyan immediately receives a punch squarely in the abdomen while being scolded by his master. "What's wrong with you, Gohan? Since when do you need your eyes to fight?" The next attack is a full punch to the face. "Feel my ki and defend yourself." Piccolo disappears from in front of Gohan, moving at high speed to his back and preparing a finishing attack. But this time, Gohan follows his master's instructions and, sensing Piccolo's presence, manages to avoid it by the skin of his teeth. The counterattack comes almost instantly, hitting Piccolo hard and sending him skyward. However, even though he received the strong attack, Piccolo is happy. Very good, Gohan. Gohan goes after him, taking to the skies in an ultra-fast flight, preparing a devastating punch. Piccolo, however, is still confident and shouts, but it's still not enough. He goes against Gohan, who without hesitation throws his punch. But when the punch comes, Piccolo has already moved at great speed, leaving Gohan to hit nothing but his heavy clothing. When his fist goes through Piccolo's heavy clothing, Gohan is surprised. What? This is very heavy! He's even more surprised when Piccolo appears above him to land a strong elbow on the Saiyan's head that sends him hard against the ground. Looking down, Piccolo deduces that this is the end of the fight. I think that's enough for now. Gohan is in base form, already passed out. Sometime later, peace seems to have returned to that place. Master and disciple are sitting talking about the fight that just happened. Understanding the tactic used by Piccolo, Gohan says, "You really are very smart, Mr. Piccolo. The moment you left your heavy clothes for me to punch, you increased the weight on purpose, didn't you? And so my reaction slowed down." Frustrated, he admits, "For some reason, I can never beat you, unless I use a transformation that gives me a power that is much greater than yours." Piccolo consoles him by saying the following: "Your fighting skills are excellent. Certainly on par with mine or even better. And not only that, you are also a little superior in general power just now, as you have evolved considerably in the last few days." However, he also makes him criticism, "But there's something missing, and that's why you couldn't beat me, even though you're stronger and have equal skill." Obviously, these statements make Gohan curious, so he asks, "What am I missing?" Piccolo explains, "Your heart is too pure. You lack malice, just like your father. You fight too straight, and even though you know your opponent might cheat, you have difficulty predicting it, because the kind of thing isn't in your thoughts. While fighting, try to think like your enemy, no matter how dirty his thoughts are, and then you'll be able to predict his tactics and trickery." Gohan welcomes this criticism and advice. Understood. Suddenly their conversation is interrupted by a voice that calls them telepathically. "Piccolo, Gohan, come to the temple, please." Gohan quickly realizes that this person is Dende. Also through telepathy, Piccolo asks, "Did something happen, Dende?" Speaking from Kami's lookout, Dende responds, "Someone arrived and asked for my permission to see you guys. It seems important, so please hurry up." After giving this warning to the two, Dende turns to look at this mysterious visitor. Looking from the back, we realize that this is someone familiar. And when that person turns around, the identity of the leader of the Celestial Mages, Pikkon, is confirmed. Meanwhile, on Universe 6's planet of destruction, Goku is in the middle of a meditation process, while being observed by Vados. He is completely focused, which makes it clear that something very important is happening. Before the meditation began, Vados gave Goku a very serious explanation regarding his training method. "I've said it before, but I'll say it again. This training is very risky, and even though I don't know everything about your previous life, I would venture to say that it is the most dangerous thing you will do in your life. The reason for this is that if you fail, you will no longer be yourself." Of course, these words worry Goku. Will I no longer be myself? What does that mean? Vados explains further. From the moment you enter this state of meditation and find your energy of destruction, you'll be facing the energy with your own consciousness. If at this moment you are subdued, you will lose dominion over it, while it will assume dominion over you. If that happens, bring you back will be almost impossible. You, Son Goku, will cease to exist, and you will only be the vessel of a beast of destruction. Vados now has an even more serious expression, and it is at this moment that she gives her main warning to Goku. "The moment that happens, I, as the angel responsible for you, will have permission to strike you down." Goku takes this warning seriously. However, he remains firm in his decision. "I understand, Miss Vados, but still I'll do it." Vados remembers these things while closely observing Goku's meditation. She looks anxious and thinks, "He's been there for many hours. What is going on in his mind?" Unlike Vados' anxiety, Goku remains extremely focused on what he is doing. In the God of Destruction's subconscious, a dark environment can be seen. Walking through the darkness is Goku himself, whose figure stands out in the midst of that dark place. As he walks, Goku looks from one side to the other, making his tension clear in his eyes. He thinks apprehensively, "The further I go into my subconscious, the darker it becomes. The atmosphere here is much heavier than it was the first time." By first time, Goku is probably referring to when he was in his subconscious during his first training as God of Destruction, when he found a large globe of energy of destruction there. Suddenly, his reflections are interrupted when a mysterious being appears from the shadows and asks him, "What's the matter? Are you afraid of your own inner self?" Goku is startled by this sudden appearance and asks, "Who's there?" The creature that has just emerged from the shadows shows its face. "Hello, Son Goku. We finally meet." Goku asks, "Who are you?" Showing a malicious smile on his face, the mysterious creature replies, "Let me introduce myself." In the next instant, a splash of blood spreads across the place. Goku, in shock, shouts, "What?" With his eyes and mouth open in fright and pain, Goku sees himself having just been stabbed by the hand of that mysterious being, which pierces his chest in a very serious wound. After this surreally fast and brutal movement, the mysterious being presents itself. "I am your new master. Your energy of destruction, Kakarot." Goku's meditation seems to proceed normally when he suddenly begins to release a large amount of power, destroying a part of the ground and causing a huge commotion in the region. His eyes suddenly open, showing a fierce look. In parallel to this, his muscles seem to swell, and his skin takes on a paler tone. Realizing what is happening, Vados starts to get worried. "Oh damn." A hideous smile forms on Goku's face. Or is it the face of Kakarot, the energy of destruction? Chapter 13, Goku's most dangerous training. Struck by intense pain, Goku groans while letting his shock show on his face. His energy of destruction, on the other hand, smiles as he introduces himself. "I am your new master. Your energy of destruction, Kakarot." Covered in Goku's blood, Kakarot's hand passes through the Saiyan god's body. In a sudden and extremely violent movement, Kakarot removes his hand from Goku's body, letting the destroyer's blood run down it. Kakarot moves away from Goku by jumping back, then he points his hand towards him and makes chains appear from the ground. Kakarot then raises his other arm, and now with both hands raised, he makes the chains bind Goku's arm, his waist, and then his other arm. In a split second, Goku is completely chained. "What are you doing?" Goku asks. He begins to scream when a strange energy begins to come out of him through the wound created by Kakarot. As Goku screams in agony and despair, this energy leaves his body and goes straight into Kakarot's hands, who answers his question. "I am absorbing your life and psychic force. When I'm done, you'll be weak and asleep, and I have complete control over your body." On the planet of the God of Destruction, everything is apparently peaceful, and Vados watches Goku's meditation very carefully. Suddenly, Goku starts releasing an absurd amount of power. His face starts to take on a paler tone, and the same happens with his body. His eyes open with different colors too. "Oh damn," Vados says when she realizes things are about to get really complicated. Goku smiles, a completely evil smile, which indicates that he is no longer in control. In Goku's subconscious, Kakarot shouts, "Soon you will be all mine." Goku is clearly very weakened. "Oh no, I feel like my strength is being stolen, and I'm going to faint at any moment." But at that moment, he becomes alarmed when he remembers the words that Vados said to him before the meditation began. "From the moment you enter this state of meditation and tap into your energy of destruction, you will be confronting the energy with your own consciousness. If at that moment you lose, you will lose dominion over it, while it will assume dominion over you. If that happens, getting you to return will be almost impossible. You, Son Goku, will cease to exist and will only be the vessel of a beast of destruction." Goku is filled with determination after remembering these things, and determined not to give up. He begins to release a huge amount of ki. "No way! I will not allow it to dominate me." The chains that bind Goku begin to be pressed to the limit. Kakarot is very impressed by this, clearly not expecting this reaction. In the next moment, all the chains are broken. As the pieces of the ties that held him fly away, Goku finds himself free again. On his planet, true chaos is happening, with the entire environment on the verge of collapse because of the catastrophic climate anomalies that have affected the entire planet, the result of the monstrous ki released by the God of Destruction. Vados, placing herself in a more empathetic way in front of Goku and taking her combat stance, says, showing that she is completely decided. "There's no other option. I'll need to act." But at that moment, Goku's eyes and his skin tone return to normal. And as if everything that happened was nothing more than a stage of sleepwalking, Goku closes his eyes again. After that, Vados returns to her relaxed posture. It seems that Lord Goku managed to react. That is good. Back in Goku's subconscious, the God of Destruction takes a deep breath. Panting, he places his hand on the spot of his wound. Kakarot doesn't hide his surprise. "It can't be. Was this bastard able to react like that even with that injury?" When Goku removes his hand from his wound, he is already fully healed. His consciousness is healed and is now intact again. Facing his energy of destruction, ready for confrontation, Goku tells him, "Sorry, but my conscience won't be defeated just with an injury like that." And then the Saiyan God of Destruction advances, preparing a punch. "Now it's my turn!" Kakarot promptly prepares to defend Goku's punch, but he is fooled when Goku, instead of punching, spins in the air to land a sidekick to his head, a kick that Kakarot noticeably feels. The next kick comes from below, hitting Kakarot squarely, who then receives a third kick, and is sent towards the ground. But Kakarot reacts, and seeing that he would fall to the ground, he gathers energy in his hands and fires this energy to the ground, using the propulsion force to return towards Goku and hit his chest with both feet. Now Goku is sent away. He manages to maneuver his body well, making an acrobatic movement, and then landing safely. But Kakarot's attack isn't over yet. Goku pays attention when his opponent disappears right in front of him, and then he notices the energy of destruction coming from above, ready to strike. Goku jumps against Kakarot, he prepares a punch and then throws that punch towards the opponent. But to his surprise, Kakarot simply disappears, revealing himself to be just an illusionary clone. Goku is surprised by this. He quickly notices something coming from behind and responds with a kick. Kakarot's strike and Goku's counterattack meet with their two kicks crossing each other, each frustrating the other's attack. The strength of each one sends the other back, making them move away. They return to the fighting stance. A shot of energy comes from one side, and then another shot comes from the other. The two waves of power meet in a violent clash, spreading light and power everywhere. The contest is vigorous, each torrent of power trying to overwhelm the other. Kakarot and Goku shout, both putting a great amount of power into this contest. The size of the energies multiply, and then a gigantic explosion happens, culminating in a spectacle of light and shadows. Goku and Kakarot gasp. The two put a lot of effort into the dispute just now, but it seems that no one came out victorious. Goku warns his opponent, "I already said that I will not give in to your dominance." Showing a mixture of surprise and irritation, Kakarot thinks, his consciousness is really powerful. I would never have imagined that this idiot would have such strong mental resilience. After making this observation in his mind, he says to Goku, "Goku, that's enough. This won't achieve anything. If you don't mind, I'd like to talk now." Of course, Goku didn't expect that. The two land, and then Goku asks suspiciously, "After all, what's wrong with you? First you suddenly attack me, and now you want to talk?" Kakarot justifies. "At first I thought I could subdue your consciousness quickly by force, but I confess that you surprised me, Goku. Now I realize I'm talking to you about the situation and that might be better." Goku responds in agreement. However, he is the one who starts asking the question. "Since you want to talk, start by telling me why you look so much like me, and also why you introduced yourself as Kakarot, my Saiyan name." Kakarot answers his question. "I'm your energy of destruction. I was generated within you the moment the ritual to make you a god of destruction was done. As the energy of destruction ends up becoming a part of the god who has it, it is common for their appearances to be the same. The birth of the energy of destruction in you resulted in this appearance. And as for the name, I thought it appropriate to call myself Kakarot, since this name represents precisely the darkest part that exists in you." Goku is especially curious about the last part of Kakarot's speech. Darkest part? What are you talking about? Instead of answering, Kakarot asks a question. "Son Goku, a Saiyan raised on Earth, adopted by an old martial artist named Son Gohan. Since then, purity and kindness have always taken over your heart. You spare the lives of your enemies, even when they kill your friends. Honestly, how was someone like that chosen to become a god of destruction?" Goku gives justification. "Listen, I never wanted to become a god of destruction. It doesn't suit me. However, at this moment, I need to reach my maximum potential as a god to be able to defeat the terrible enemies that have appeared." Kakarot gets angry while scolding Goku. "And how do you intend to do that if all you do is reject me? See what happened in the fight against Odisu. The fact that you suppressed and denied my power made me weak and unable to defeat that bastard. The consequence of this? Countless catastrophes occurred across Universe 6. Countless lives were lost. And it was all in pain as we lost the battle." When Kakarot says these things, Goku starts to remember the things Odisu said right after their fight. As Goku floated defeated through space, Odisu said the following things to him. "You deny your power of destruction because you fear it, and because of this you are in constant conflict with your own power. That way, you would never be able to reach your maximum potential. How would a god who is in a constant internal conflict be able to win an external conflict?" After remembering these things, Goku responds to Kakarot. "Look, I already understand that the path I'm following won't work. That's why I'm here. I want to understand you and be able to use all your power." Kakarot likes to hear this and says, "Well, I'm very happy that you want to build a relationship with me, Goku. However, you know that relationships are made of mutual benefits, right? Let's say I simply give you my power whenever you need it. What's in it for me?" Goku asks what the energy of destruction wants, and Kakarot responds, "My wishes are simple. I want to follow my nature and become the true force of destruction that this universe has always needed. I want to trade places with you and become free to destroy." But Goku doesn't like this proposal and responds, I can't allow that. I saw what you were like the moment you took control of my body. If you were free, you would soon destroy the entire universe. But Kakarot explains that things are not quite like that, and begins to explain to Goku about his nature and what he really is. Don't take the exception as a rule, Goku. It's true that in the few months I've been free, I've spiraled out of control. But that's because I've been deprived of my natural needs for too long. Saiyans really like to eat, don't they? Tell me, what would happen if you were deprived of food for a long time, and suddenly a feast was served to you? You would eat all the food uncontrollably, right? But after your hunger was satisfied, you would return to your ordinary self-control. It's the same thing with me. It is obvious that after being so repressed, my urge to destroy was gigantic. However, this is not my nature. My natural state of mind is different. As you can see now, I'm much more rational than I appear. Even with all this explanation, Goku remains very suspicious about Kakarot's proposal. He reflects on all this. I don't like the idea of making concessions to this guy. Goku squeezes his hand tightly as he thinks. But Miss Vado said that I must build a collaborative relationship with my energy of destruction. So I need to make an effort. Finally, he asks Kakarot to continue. Go ahead, I'm hearing you. Kakarot then continues with his line of thought. It's a fact that you can't control me. On the other hand, I wasn't able to control you. So we are at an impasse, unless we make a deal. What kind of deal? Goku asks apprehensively. The energy of destruction explains. I will teach you how to control the power of destruction and give you the opportunity to have all my power. However, you will also give me the opportunity to be free forever. We will decide this through a fight after you learn what I have to teach you. If you win, I will give you all my power whenever you need it, but knowing that I am giving it to someone who is worthy of using it. If I win, I will take your place and act freely. With this agreement, both of us have the opportunity to succeed. There's nothing fairer than that. This is the only proposal I will make to you. Therefore, your only chance to achieve your goals. Think carefully before considering refusing. Goku remains silent for a while, pondering everything that was said. He looks very serious at his energy of destruction, apparently with his decision already made. Kakarot extends his hand to Goku and asks, So, what do you say, Goku? Goku looks at him seriously for a moment, but then smiles and shakes his hand with the energy of destruction, sealing the deal. Okay, but know that I will beat you whatever the cost. We'll see. Both Kakarot and Goku show a lot of confidence. Goku gets straight to the point. Now tell me how you will help me control the power of destruction. Kakarot smiles when he asks this question, indicating that something not good is about to happen. On the planet of the God of Destruction, things have already returned to normal. Vado, seeing that Goku has just woken up, asks, Have you already awakened? How was it? With a mischievous smile on his face, Goku replied, Miss Vado, I'm sorry to ask this, but I need to go back in time. What? Obviously, Vados is shocked by what she just heard. The meeting between Goku and his energy of destruction couldn't be more unexpected. What kind of request is this that Goku made to Vados, and how can going back in time help with his training as a god of destruction? Chapter 32, Red Ribbon's Secret Plan. Across all universes, gods and mortals train to face the 5 great celestial mages, while on Earth the police confront another enemy. The West City Police, after many investigations, managed to discover that the Red Ribbon Force was being recreated. The secret base where their illegal activities were being carried out was found, so the police began the final operation. Taking advantage of the fact that the police are busy exchanging fire at his soldiers, Magenta prepares to flee. He runs away alongside Carmine and another soldier. Desperate and frustrated, Carmine complains, Damn, how did those damn cops find us? Now all our work goes down the drain. They're heading towards an aircraft carrier, planning to escape by air. Despite the situation, Magenta remains determined and responds to Carmine. It doesn't matter. I will raise Red Ribbon again, whatever the cost. However, one person stands in the way between them and their escape. Nah, you won't escape. The hero who just did this is Krillin, who's very determined not to let them pass. Without mercy, Magenta shouts the orders to his subordinates, telling them to shoot to kill. They obey and point their weapons at Krillin, but the law enforcement agent smiles calm and confident. After a while, everything seemed to be over. Magenta, Carmine, and the soldier appeared utterly defeated, while Krillin's boss went to talk to him. Commander Nuts praises Krillin, saying the following, Congratulations, Officer Krillin. If it weren't for all your efforts, we would have never discovered their secret base. From what little we've been able to find out, they were working with dangerous technology here, so you may have saved a lot of lives. Krillin is a little shy with his boss's flattery and thanks her. "Thank you, Commander, but I only did my job." The commander then decides to give him a reward. "I think after working so much overtime, you can take today and tomorrow off. Don't worry, if we find anything important, I'll let you know." Krillin is happy with this news and thanks the commander. Guys, before continuing with this chapter, I think it's very important for me to clarify this scene. A lot of people might be confused by what just happened here. We know that in Dragon Ball Super, the Red Ribbon base was defeated by the Union of the Z Warriors, especially Gohan and Piccolo, but here in Dragon Ball Hakai, things happened in a very different way. Why? Well, anyone who follows Dragon Ball Hakai knows that this story takes place after the Moro arc, but the story narrates some later events of Dragon Ball Super in an alternative way. For example, Granola already appeared in Dragon Ball Hakai. However, a different context was created, where the plot of the Granola arc ended up not happening because the Dragon Ball stopped working. With the events of the superhero arc, things are also different. In this alternative version created in Dragon Ball Hakai, the West City Police managed to find Red Ribbon's secret base much earlier than in Dragon Ball Super, not giving Red Ribbon time to create the new androids. Since in the original story, the police were already investigating Red Ribbon before the events of the superhero arc, I think it's not reasonable to think that they could discover the base earlier. And as Krillin is a very powerful Earthling, the new Red Ribbon would certainly not be able to defeat him without the androids. Anyway, I thought it was important to clarify this so you don't get confused. Now let's continue with the chapter. Despite having received time off, Krillin did not use his free time to rest, but rather to train with his wife, Android 18. Krillin is not getting the best of his training. On the contrary, he's being massacred by 18's blows, who attacks him with great speed and intensity. 18 lands a sequence of punches on her husband, and then finishes with a kick that knocks him away, sending Krillin from the sky over the sea to the ground of the islet where Kame House is located. Krillin's head hurts, and while rubbing his bald head, he complains to his wife. "Wow, 18! Don't you think you're getting too hard on me?" She returns to the island while responding, "If I go easy on you, you won't be able to evolve, and you'll be an easy target for your enemy. You need to try harder, Krillin." 18 looks at another person there who is Master Roshi. She then says to Krillin, "Even that old pervert is trying to improve. I've lost count of how many hours he's been standing there, meditating, completely focused, and without getting distracted by stupid things." In fact, Master Roshi seems completely immersed in his meditation training, oblivious to the things of the outside world. Like a true sage. Krillin is a little sad and frustrated with the scolding he just got and says, "Okay, I get it. I'm a total failure. Among all the others, I must be the only one who's barely progressing." 18 realizes that she hurt his feelings, and then tries to console her husband. "It's not like that either. It may not seem like it, but you are improving." With a more affectionate posture now, she asks to see Krillin's head. "Let me see if it hurt too much." But it's not just Krillin's training that 18 is making difficult. When she bends over to see Krillin, she leaves a certain part of her body exposed, and her feminine attributes draw someone else's attention. Master Roshi, who was meditating fully like a true hermit, suddenly opens his eyes wide, hallucinating, but he fights his carnal desires and closes his eyes again. Sweat involuntarily runs down the old master's bald head, and a trickle of blood runs down from his nose. Who's suffering more from the training, him or Krillin? Suddenly, the communicator on Krillin's arm beeps. He answers promptly and sees that it's Commander Nuts. Commander Nuts says, "Officer Krillin, I know I gave you the rest of the day off. Sorry to bother you, but we discovered something important in the Red Ribbon archives, and I thought you might like to know." But Krillin doesn't mind the interruption. "No problem, Commander." Android 18 doesn't like what's happening at all, and watches a little intrigued. Commander Nuts begins to report something very important to him. We find out that Magenta found a very old secret laboratory of Dr. Gero. According to his investigation files, very powerful weapons were being built in this laboratory. Krillin is intrigued by what he just heard, surprised that there is another Dr. Gero's laboratory, but then says to the commander, "Commander Nuts, going to this laboratory could be dangerous, so I'll investigate alone. Please give me the location and the information you got." Commander Nuts, certainly trusting Krillin a lot, doesn't question him. She just agrees. When Commander Nuts hangs up, Android 18, sensing danger, asks Krillin, "Krillin, who is this woman, and where are you going?" Krillin is a little surprised by her questions. "Woman? Oh, well, it was Commander Nuts, my superior." Android 18, knowing that her husband is an irresistible alpha male and that there is another woman in the area, says, "That's weird, I'm going too." But Krillin, instead of getting angry, happily agrees. Okay. In fact, you can be quite useful." With instructions given by Commander Nuts, Krillin and 18 arrive at Dr. Gero's secret laboratory. This laboratory operated independently of the one that was destroyed in the past, relying on an even more powerful energy generator. After they destroy the lab door, Krillin enters. He looks around with curiosity and amazement. Who would imagine Dr. Gero had a place like this hidden away? 18, equally impressed, agrees. That old man was really full of surprises. They take a look at a giant computer in the center of the laboratory. Krillin, approaching to analyze the computer, deduces, I'm sure there is important information on that computer. He starts messing around with the computer, looking for information. As he does this, 18 asks, how did you guys find out about this place? He explains, it was all in Magenta's files stored at the secret base that we captured. Magenta's mother is a former Red Ribbon soldier named Colonel Violet. It seems that she is a great spy and has investigated all of the organization's old projects for many years, including everything done by Dr. Gero. Recently, Colonel Violet found out about this place, but before Magenta and his minions could get here, we arrested them. Suddenly, strange codes began to appear on the computer screen, and seeing this, Krillin becomes very frustrated. Damn, it looks like the files in the computer are encrypted. I won't be able to access it, 18 suggests. We have to call someone who understands technology to solve this, but Krillin smiles and says, we already have that person. Before continuing, there is another very important thing that I need to clarify here. For those of you who don't know, Colonel Violet is a very old Dragon Ball character who appeared in the Red Ribbon Saga, one of the first sagas of the original Dragon Ball. Colonel Violet was left out of the story for a long time, especially in the manga, where she had very little participation. But in the movie Dragon Ball Super Superhero, she was seen in a photo in Magenta's office next to a photo of Commander Red, his father. As a result, a theory was created that Colonel Violet is someone very important to Magenta, and there is a very high chance that she is his mother. In the Dragon Ball Super manga, the relationship between the two was not confirmed, as she did not even appear. However, in Dragon Ball Hakai, Colonel Violet is actually Magenta's mother, and she appears to still be in action, working as some kind of spy. With that clarified, now let's continue. After a while, another person arrives in the secret laboratory. This person is Bulma, who is working on the computer. Krillin is a little embarrassed, apologizes to her. Sorry to bother you, Bulma. But Bulma seems happy to help. It's okay, Krillin. After all, what would all of you do without me? But even Bulma doesn't seem to be having an easy time with that problem. She comments, besides, this is really difficult. Not just anyone could decrypt it, but we're talking about one of the most brilliant minds in Dragon Ball. Bulma manages to decrypt the computer, and she finishes the job with a click on the keyboard. A trapdoor is automatically opened, and 3 capsules come out of the trapdoor. On these capsules are numbers 13, 14, and 15. When she sees this, number 18 is shocked. No way! Are those androids 13, 14, and 15? Krillin doesn't know what she's talking about and asks who these guys are. 18 looks at him a little tensely and then starts to say, before building 1970 and 16 and me, Dr. Gero built other androids that he considered failures. Among them were 13, 14, and 15. I thought he discarded and destroyed them all, but it seems not. Krillin asks, why did he consider these androids a failure? She explains to him. Among the androids that Dr. Gero built, most consisted of 2 types of infinite energy androids and absorption types androids. Between these 2 types, the ones with infinite energy were much stronger. Realizing the potential of this type of android, Dr. Gero focused many efforts on building them. However, there was a big problem, which was the difficulty of controlling them. Dr. Gero built many models of infinite energy, but was unable to control them all. He found that as he reduced the android's powers, the mental instability was less, but still he was never able to control us. I was the last model of the infinite energy type that was created, therefore the weakest, but not even me, Dr. Gero was able to control. That's why the next model he built was Android 19, which was of the absorption type, an inferior and weaker technology, but easier to control. After hearing all this, Krillin comments, now I understand. That's why your power declined as production went on, right? 16 was superior to 17, 17 was stronger than you, and you are stronger than 19. In common logic, more recently created androids should be more powerful, but with Dr. Gero's creations, it was the opposite. Now I understand why. 18 continued. Androids 13, 14, and 15 were certainly extremely powerful, much more than 16. However, they were the most unstable among us. I thought at the time that Dr. Gero had destroyed them, but they are here. Why? Bulma, who until now was looking at the computer, had an answer. I already understand everything. This is not an ordinary computer. Here is a very advanced artificial intelligence that was finalizing these androids. It seems that Dr. Gero tasked this computer with solving the mental instability problem you just mentioned. Since Dr. Gero Gero died, he couldn't improve the computer, so it would take years for it to be finished. At that moment, she has an idea and then says, "Hey, we could use these machines to help if Earth is really attacked by these new enemies. Perhaps with Capsule Corporation's current technology, we can improve these projects, making these androids stronger and less unstable." But Bulma is a little discouraged and says, "The problem is that creating machines of this type is not my specialty." But again, she has an idea and asks Krillin, "Hey Krillin, you said the new red ribbon was after Dr. Gero's projects, right? How did they plan to develop his old projects?" Krillin responds, "My commander said that they were investigating a man who is Dr. Gero's grandson, and according to their files, this man is even more genius than his grandfather." When she hears this, Bulma already knows what to do. West City, Cricket District. Someone is leaving a place called Mammal Market. This person has a packet of cookies in his hand, and he's already sending a cookie into his mouth. Suddenly, he sneezes. "Oh man, did I catch a cold?" Dr. Hedo wonders, a little worried. Chapter 33. Unexpected Allies. Dr. Hedo is walking normally through the streets of West City when suddenly a car stops next to him, making him a little suspicious. This car has the Capsule Corporation logo on its roof. When the car window rolls down, we see that it's Bulma, who greets Dr. Hedo and asks if they can talk. Obviously, Dr. Hedo is a little hesitant, but he accepts. Despite not going into such minute details, Bulma manages to explain the urgency of the situation to Dr. Hedo. Hearing everything Bulma said, Dr. Hedo says he's a little surprised by it all. Dr. Hedo says, "I think I understand the situation, but I admit that it is very strange to see you guys, who were my grandfather's enemy, asking for my help." Bulma justifies this by being very sincere. "Dr. Gero was a very bad guy who needed to be stopped. At the time, I thought it was a waste for someone as intelligent as him to do such evil thing. I think you can go the opposite way and do the good your grandfather could have done. You don't have any resentment for what happened to your grandfather, do you?" Dr. Hedo responds with unexpected honesty. "Honestly, I don't care what happens to my grandfather. I was just a kid back then, and I didn't even know him." Bulma's really relieved when she hears this, realizing that she won't lose this ally because of what happened in the past. However, Dr. Hedo does not intend to collaborate that easily, and makes this clear. "But I don't intend to be altruistic. I want to be very well paid, and I also want the freedom to carry out my own projects." Luckily, he's talking to the richest woman in the world. Bulma tells him her proposal. "That's no problem. I'll pay 2 billion for every android you make or help us improve. You'll also have all the resources and equipment that Capsule Corporation can offer." Dr. Hedo is more than satisfied when he hears this proposal, and says it is perfect. Bulma is even happier that he agreed, and not wanting to waste time suggests that he move right now. The Capsule Corporation car, apparently without even needing Dr. Hedo's instructions, goes directly to his house, on a sinister hill that we all know from the Dragon Ball Super manga. It's called Butterfly Mountain. Dr. Hedo is surprised when he sees where they are going and asks how Bulma knows he is living there. She is a bit mysterious in her response, only saying that she did her homework on him. But what she doesn't know is why Dr. Hedo chose this isolated place to live, and asks him that. Dr. Hedo also responds in a mysterious way, just telling her that it doesn't matter anymore. Well, anyone who read the Dragon Ball Super manga knows very well the unethical things that Hedo intended to do in this place. After packing Dr. Hedo's things, Bulma flew him to the secret laboratory, which will be his base of operations. Dr. Hedo takes a close look at the files on Dr. Gero's supercomputer while being observed by Bulma, who's a little tense and anxious waiting for an answer from him. Bulma finally gives in to her anxiety and asks what she wants to know. Fortunately, Dr. Hedo's response is positive. "From what I've seen, with my great intelligence and the Capsule Corporation's technology, I can certainly take up my grandfather's projects and improve them a lot." Bulma gets very excited when she hears this, now having confirmed that her idea of hiring Dr. Gero's grandson worked. Dr. Hedo says he would like to get to work right now if she doesn't mind. Bulma agrees but warns there is someone he must see first. Then, footsteps echo through the secret laboratory as a mysterious figure approaches. When Dr. Hedo sees who it is, he cannot hide his astonishment, making clear his shock at seeing that person there. The person who just arrived is a woman, and from the clothes she's wearing, she's also a scientist. Well, I believe most of you know this character, right? This is Volmi, much more popularly known as Android 21. This is an original character from the game Dragon Ball FighterZ, who later became very popular and more recently was even canonized in Dragon Ball Super during the film Dragon Ball Super Superhero. Although in the games this character is called Android 21, in the main story she is only mentioned as Dr. Gero's wife called Volmi. There is no evidence that she is canonically an android. However, it is confirmed that she exists as an Earthling woman who was Dr. Gero's wife and therefore Dr. Hedo's grandmother. In the game Dragon Ball Z, Kakarot, she is shown as being an employee of the Capsule Corporation, and for those who don't know, this game has many elements that complement the original story and are considered canonical. In other words, there is a very high chance that Volmi is or was an employee of the Capsule Corporation. So Volmi is another character that Dragon Ball Hakai is bringing to you. In the story of Dragon Ball Hakai, is she just an Earthling scientist or is she an android? We're still going to find out. If you want to see her as an android in Dragon Ball Hakai, comment #Android21. And if you want her to be just an ordinary Earthling woman, comment #Volmi. And also comment on what you think her role will be in the plot of Dragon Ball Hakai and how you would like her participation in the story to be. Also take this moment to subscribe to the channel if you are not already subscribed. By subscribing and activating notifications, you will always know when more Dragon Ball Hakai content is published here on the channel, and also our other videos about Dragon Ball. Sign up now so you don't forget later to give us this help, okay? But now let's continue with the chapter. On Universe 7's planet of destruction, a fierce fight ensues while Oob remains dormant. This fight is between Beerus and Majin Buu, who are fighting a fierce battle for the planet's food. Enraged, the god of destruction of Universe 7 complains, "You fat bastard, you're eating all the food on my planet." On the other side, the pink demon responds, "I'm hungry, hungry." "Then get your own food," the destroyer retorts. Beerus, who was previously vehemently opposed to the idea of Majin Buu and Oob being taken by the Celestial Guardians, now has a completely opposite thought, hoping that their boss will arrive soon. Jeez, that damn Pikkon said he was going to come after these two, but he's taking too long. I can't take this pain in the ass anymore. However, the god of destruction suddenly seemed to have an idea, and so he makes a proposal to Buu. "Hey, Majin Buu, I need you to do me a favor. If you do, I'll give you all the food you want." Of course, this attracts Majin Buu's curiosity, who looks suspiciously and surprised at the Hakaishin. A few minutes later, a cube-shaped ship arrives at high speed at the planet of destruction, tearing through the sky and entering the planet in the form of a flash of light. However, despite the extraordinary speed with which it was moving, the cube lands smoothly. Those traveling in the cube are Pikkon, Gohan, and Piccolo, certainly coming from Earth. When they leave the cube, Gohan and Piccolo take a curious look at the planet of the god of destruction. "So this is Lord Beerus's planet," Gohan wonders aloud as he contemplates the planet. Piccolo, apparently finding the environment to his liking, comments, "It seems like a calm and silent place." Pikkon senses someone's presence. It's the owner of the planet himself, who responds to Piccolo's comment while approaching them. "It was very calm and quiet before I met you all. Getting straight to the point." Pikkon justifies their delay. "Sorry for the delay. I had to convince Son Gohan to come. I guess I couldn't have done it if it weren't for Piccolo." Gohan still doesn't seem completely convinced and whines, "I'm going to be jobless for the first time." Piccolo, no longer patient, starts to scold him. "Stop whining. The fate of the Earth and the universe is more important. Also, your father-in-law is rich, so your family won't go hungry." Seeing a master scolding his disciple, Pikkon also looks for his master. "Is Master Whis around? I wish I had the opportunity to see him this time." Beerus responds, "No, Whis went somewhere with Vegeta. I don't know what they went to do or how long it will take them to get back." This seems to make Pikkon a little disappointed. "I see. In that case, I'll take these two at once, along with Gohan and Piccolo." Without wasting any time, the travel cube takes flight again, this time also taking Oob and Majin Buu. So guys, what do you think Pikkon will do now that he has Gohan, Majin Buu, Piccolo, and Oob? Comment what you think. And also, what favor did Beerus ask Majin Buu before the others arrived? What could someone like him ask Majin Buu? Tell us your theories. Continuing. With the planet empty, Beerus took the opportunity to take a nap, but his nap wouldn't last long as more people arrived on the planet without him noticing. Beerus suddenly gets a big scar, and the reason for this scar is that there is a huge discharge of energy happening right there on his planet, making the Hakaishin wonder what power this is that has appeared there. This energy is coming from Broly, who is frantically releasing power while also seeming to try to maintain his consciousness with some difficulty. He's doing this while being watched by Vegeta and Whis. Vegeta looks at him very carefully, literally analyzing the other Saiyan. Vegeta notices that Broly has become even stronger since that day they met on Earth. For a second, he looks worried, but then Vegeta shows that it's the opposite. He smiles with excitement and asks Broly to try using some transformation. Broly doesn't have time to transform, as they are interrupted by Beerus arriving and screaming at Whis. This especially scares Broly, who's naturally not used to an angry god yelling around. "What is this lunatic lunatic doing on my planet? The Hakai should ask the angel, who remains calm as always. Broly, on the other hand, is a little saddened to be called that. But the one who responds to Beerus is Vegeta. Since Kakarot is no longer here, Broly is the most appropriate to train with me. In addition to also being a Saiyan, he has great power and potential, so he will push me to surpass my limits. The Destroyer does not accept this justification, not intending to be so nice and indulgent this time. Then go train somewhere else. Don't bring people here without permission. This isn't a hotel. Beerus stops complaining when his attention is suddenly attracted by a smell that really pleases the Destroyer's nostrils. The smell comes from the food that has just been cooked by Lemo, which immediately catches Beerus' attention, leading the Hakaishin to try it and consequently fall in love with what he is tasting. Beerus starts to challenge his mind when he tastes Lemo's food, and he surrenders once and for all when he contemplates Chilai's beauty. This is how Broly and his friends are accepted on the God of Destruction's planet. With Beerus' interruption resolved, Whis draws everyone's attention to what really matters. Alright, let's start with training. Vegeta completely agrees and then speaks again. That's right, Broly, I want you to fight me right now. But it won't be just any training. I want you to fight with the intention of killing me. Broly gets a little tense at this request from the other saying, understanding that things are a little bit more serious than he probably thought. So it seems that Vegeta's plan, when he had the dialogue with Whis in chapter 29, was to bring Broly to train. Back then, when I asked what Vegeta's idea could be, some people suggested Broly. Congratulations to those of you who got it right. And now it looks like a very serious training match is going to happen between the two. Who will be the winner? We know that Vegeta from Dragon Ball Hakai is much more powerful than the Vegeta who faced Broly in the movie. And even Vegeta from Dragon Ball Super has shown a certain superiority to Broly more recently in the manga. But it was just mentioned in Dragon Ball Hakai that Broly is stronger, indicating that this Broly trained during the period in which he was absent. Unlike Broly from Dragon Ball Super, who apparently did not evolve until the moment of his reappearance in the manga. Well, who do you think will win, Vegeta or Broly? If you think Vegeta from Dragon Ball Hakai is superior, comment #Vegeta. If you think Broly has a better chance, comment #Broly. And if you're excited about this fight, comment #Vegeta versus Broly. Continuing with the chapter, Universe 12, Planet of Destruction. Jin meditates concentratedly floating on the waters of his planet. He's observed by the angel Martinu, his mentor. Martinu seems proud of her disciple's attitude and comments in her thoughts. Now that Lord Jin has done all his work and has nothing left to destroy across the universe, he's focusing 100% of his time on meditations to try to advance in mastering his power of destruction. However, peace on the planet is suddenly interrupted when a flash of light falls on it, landing on the central island. You here? Martinu asked, surprised, when she sees who just arrived. Jin also becomes aware of the strange presence on his planet, and quickly flies away from where he is to the central island. What do you want here? He asks when he lands on the island. Unexpectedly, those who just arrived on Universe 12's Planet of Destruction are Goku and Vados, and the one who answers the other Hakaishin's question is Goku, who says, God of Destruction Jin, I need to talk to you. In a peculiar and unexpected trip, Goku goes to the planet of Jin, the god of destruction of Universe 12, to talk to him.
Chapter 34, Son Goku's Challenge. In Universe 7, Whis takes Vegeta, Broly, and the others to a dimension inside his staff, so that the two can fight without causing damage to Beerus' planet. Broly and Vegeta stare at each other, their expressions indicating that things are going to get serious from now on, and that they are truly willing to give it their all. Showing great control over this transformation and his divine ki, Vegeta transforms into Super Saiyan Blue without making any fuss. Already knowing Broly's extraordinary potential thanks to their confrontation on Earth, he says he will start fighting in Super Saiyan Blue, as it makes no sense to use any level lower than that against Broly. He also tells Broly that he already realized that he trained to control his powers during that period when they didn't see each other, and then asks the legendary Saiyan to use everything he learned during that time. Broly nods. He does his power concentration stance and begins to contract his muscles. Broly's eyes change color, and then his pupils disappear as he displays a great release of power that can be seen even outside of Whis' staff in the form of a sparkling glow. As Broly reveals his energy in the form of a dense ki aura, Vegeta looks on in awe. He sees around the other Saiyan the figure of an Uzaru roaring wildly, representing the most primitive form of the warrior race's power. With this release of Broly's power that shakes the environment, Lemo shows great fear, remembering what happened on Earth and saying that he feels that chaos will repeat itself there. The manifestation of Broly's energy continues. kicking up dust and spreading a strong wind in all directions as his ki is elevated. Unlike Lemmo, Chialai appears to be more concerned with Broly himself than with the chaos he can cause. She says she hopes this brute doesn't hurt him, referring to Vegeta, whose uncompromising personality she already knows. Right behind them are Whis and Beerus. Beerus, for some reason, when focusing his gaze on Chialai for a moment, is struck by a bad mood and a feeling of disapproval, complaining about some supposed plan of Vegeta's. After releasing so much power, Broly seems to have finally regulated his ki and shows his combat stance, indicating that he is ready. Vegeta also prepares, excitedly commenting that the other Saiyan has gained control over the Ozaru's power, but at an incredible speed that surprises Broly, Vegeta advances directly against him to deliver a strong and accurate punch to the larger Saiyan's stomach, who receives the attack with pain, while the smaller Saiyan warns that this alone is far from being enough. Vegeta throws another punch, sending Broly flying. Broly responds quickly, despite the hard blows received, accumulating energy in his hands in the form of spheres and throwing everything at Vegeta, who prepares to defend himself and sees this sequence of shots arrive without much concern, showing that it is nothing for him. With skillful movements worthy of an experienced warrior, the Prince of Saiyans deflects all these shots with ease, frustrating Broly. However, Broly doesn't give up and goes for another attack, this time descending towards the opponent, preparing for a physical blow that noticeably doesn't intimidate Vegeta, given the smile with which he waits for the enemy to approach. Broly builds up his strength to strike, but before he can land the blow, Vegeta dodges, letting the ground receive the punch instead and suffering the damage from the larger Saiyan's powerful fist. Soon after moving away, Vegeta returns to his opponent with a jump, throwing a knee towards Broly's face, but which only served as a feint for a punch that hits the legendary warrior squarely in the face. Landing from his jump, Vegeta instructs Broly not to attack like a mad beast. He again jumps to attack, telling Broly to think before attacking. It's when another punch is almost reaching Broly's face that Vegeta realizes that his opponent is smarter than he thought. A smile from Broly indicates that he was already expecting this, and taking advantage of this opportunity, he opens his mouth to fire a wave of energy at close range at Vegeta, who is swallowed and carried away by this torrential attack. Vegeta did not receive this attack unscathed, showing some injuries on his body, although nothing serious. Now he understood Broly's strategy, pointing out that Broly pretended to fight in a stupid way so that he would lower his guard and open a gap. After realizing this, Vegeta admits that he has improved both in his way of fighting and in his way of thinking. This proves that the Broly of now is definitely not the same one who fought against him on Earth. Vegeta and Broly's training has finally begun. Who are you rooting for, and who do you think will win? If you think Vegeta will win, comment now, #Vegeta. And if you think Broly will win, comment #Broly. And also state your arguments, explaining why you think that character will win, taking into account the story of Dragon Ball Super and Dragon Ball Hakai. Remembering that if you want to collaborate quickly and directly in the production of Dragon Ball Hakai chapters, you can do so now for a very low price through Super Thanks. It's quick, simple, cheap, and it helps us a lot. Anyway, let's continue. Meanwhile, on the planet of destruction from Universe 12, Goku makes a very unusual request to the God of Destruction Jin. Accompanied by Vados, Goku talks to the God of Universe 12, who is accompanied by his tutor, Martinu. Gin has just heard what Goku had to say, and is a little intrigued by the favor that was asked of him. "Do you want my help traveling through time?" Gin asks this as an intrigued smile forms on his face. As if begging, Goku puts his hands together. He asks Gin to please help him, as this is the only universe he knows of that has a time machine. It will take time to get it any other way, and he doesn't have time. Gin asks how Goku knows that there is a time machine in this universe. Goku says that he knows this thanks to an enemy he faced. He says he knows that the time machine is with the Supreme Kai of this universe. When he went to see the Supreme Kai and asked for the machine, he was told that it could only be given with Gin's permission. And guys, just an observation. This line from Goku about discovering that there is a time machine in Universe 12 thanks to Zamasu refers to chapter 26 of Dragon Ball Super, where it is actually mentioned that there is a time machine in this universe that was used by Zamasu himself. Anyway, moving on. Jiren asks Goku why he wants to go back in time. Goku responds that the reason is his energy of destruction. Jiren gets curious about this, and Goku starts to explain what happened a little better. Now going back to that moment where Goku was talking to Kakarot in his subconscious, he has just received the news that he would have to go back in time, and is obviously very surprised by this. Exactly. More specifically to a time before your home planet was destroyed, Kakarot confirms and specifies. Goku asks how this will help him master the powers of the energy of destruction, that is, Kakarot's powers. Kakarot then begins to explain in the most detailed way possible. You see, your body is already strong enough to withstand all the power I can offer you, but if your mind is not prepared enough, you will never be able to do it. You have always trained your body and mind, so your mind is almost as strong as your body. However, your mind is incomplete because there is a missing part of you. As long as this part is missing, you will not be able to comprehend the essence of the power of destruction. Goku doesn't quite understand the talk about there being a missing part of him, demanding a better explanation of his energy of destruction. Kakarot elaborates on this. When you were a child, you hit your head hard and lost a part of your memory, that is, a part of you. All your Saiyan memories are gone, memories that are linked to your origin and that are very important in the formation of your inner self. Mentally, you were never complete, Goku, and that is the main reason you were not prepared for the power of destruction. Recovering these memories will bring back a very important part of your consciousness and make you complete. That way, you will be ready to understand and master my power. Back in the present time, Jiren finished listening to everything Goku told him. He admits that this all makes a lot of sense, but remembers that time travel is against the laws of the gods, as Goku knows. So he questions why Goku expects him to receive punishment for a training that isn't his and that may not even work. It seems that Goku was already expecting this type of question, and he already has an idea to solve this problem. Goku then takes a combat stance and challenges Universe 12's God of Destruction to a fight. This challenge leaves both the God and the Angel of Universe 12 very surprised. In parallel to this, inside Whis staff, an intense confrontation takes place in the skies, observed by the Angel and the God of Universe 7. It seems that Vegeta is getting the worst of it for now, being forced to retreat in the face of Broly's attacks. Whis notes that even using a large amount of power, Broly is still managing to maintain his precision and reason. There's nothing else Vegeta can do against him in Super Saiyan Blue. Vegeta receives a hard punch from Broly, which throws him hard against the ground. Despite the force with which he was thrown, Vegeta manages to land without crashing, even though it's not exactly a smooth landing. Then, he now needs to stand up to prepare himself to receive a hard attack from Broly, who comes from above, eager to strike his opponent, and lands a direct punch on Vegeta, who gives his own forehead to be hit instead of the face, being pushed by Broly's great strength as he struggles to resist the blow while remaining standing, creating a line of destruction on the floor of the dimension. But Vegeta incredibly manages to stop Broly's overwhelming blow. Despite the blood spilled from his forehead, the Prince of Saiyans smiles, surprising the other Saiyan. Vegeta praises Broly and says that this was a good warm-up. Evoking his power with even more intensity, he releases an aura of powerful energy that pushes Broly. This aura of energy soon manifested itself in the form of the power of destruction, emanating with great density. Now revealing his ultra ego, Vegeta tells Broly that it's time for the real fight. Seeing that transformation and truly dark power, Broly doesn't hide his fear, revealing it in an expression of terror. The one who makes a similar expression is Goku, who has just seen the God of Destruction from Universe 12 also releasing his power of destruction with great intensity. Jiren is furious for being challenged. He asks how Goku dares to defy him and promises that he will tear the Saiyan God to pieces. Chapter 35. The Fight of the Gods of Destruction. A true whirlwind of destructive power is released by the god of destruction of Universe 12. Goku can barely remain in place in front of him, being pushed by the force exerted in releasing this power. Impressed and perhaps a little scared, Goku recognizes that the murderous and destructive aura that this guy is releasing is no joke. Martinu and Vados are watching everything. Martinu is a little surprised and worried about the situation. She comments to her sister that Jiren is really irritated by Goku's challenge and asks Vados what her student has in mind to challenge Jiren like that out of the blue. Vados explains that Goku came to the conclusion that if he gets the time machine through combat, Jiren won't be punished if something goes wrong. So the plan here is that it could be said that Jiren handed over the time machine out of coercion and not of his own free will. Furthermore, it had been a long time since Goku wanted to test his powers as a destroyer compared to the other gods of destruction, so he combined business with pleasure. Martinu asks if they will allow this. Since this type of fight between gods shouldn't happen, they take another look at the other two. Jiren continues to release his power with potency, and Goku is still trying not to be carried by it. Despite this, Vados is calm and responds to her plumper sister by suggesting that they let them fight a little. Deep down, she is curious to see how good a teacher she is being to Goku. In other words, Vados wants to test herself as a teacher by comparing her student to her sisters. Martinu seems to find this funny and comments that her sister never loses that competitive spirit. While Goku is still struggling to maintain his position, Jiren finally finishes releasing his energy and moves forward to attack. Faster than lightning, Jiren arrives at Goku, already preparing a punch. Goku is amazed by his speed. The blow has devastating force, generating a huge explosion on the island, which is split in half by the power of this attack at the same time that the planet's sea is shaking. After creating a real abyss on his own island, Jiren realizes that it was a useless try. He tells Goku that it was very smart of him to resort to that. Goku was not hit by the blow on the ground because he escaped to the sky, already showing the appearance of Ultra Instinct. After spotting his opponent in the sky, Jiren goes to him. Goku comments in his mind that that attack was incredibly strong and fast. He could have been killed or defeated if he hadn't used his Ultra Instinct to dodge at the last moment. Despite all this, Goku smiles, showing excitement. He comments that there is in fact no room for amateurism in a fight between gods of destruction. Another person who is being carried by a powerful release of energy is Broly, who is barely able to keep himself steady on the ground thanks to the large amount of ki released by Vegeta, who has just shown him his ultra ego for the first time. Broly sees this new form with a certain fear, finding this power frightening. Vegeta notices the fear on the other Saiyan's face and asks what the problem is. After all, he warned that it was not a joke. Vegeta wastes no time and resumes the fight by firing a Hakai. Broly gets scared when he sees that energy and quickly dodges awkwardly. Vegeta's shot goes straight through and explodes further away. Lemo and Chilai are impressed by the power of this attack. Chilai asks what that was, wondering if Broly could resist if it hit him. Lemo is also tense, questioning whether Vegeta is really trying to kill Broly. Next to them, Beerus and Whis watch everything in silence, with attentive eyes. Broly is still in shock from the attack that almost hit him, but he is quickly brought back to reality when Vegeta arrives, already punching him squarely in the face, scolding him and asking what he's looking for. In Universe 12, the fight between the gods of destruction continues. Jiren attacks Goku repeatedly, while the god of Universe 6 dodges. Jiren is very angry, asking if all Goku knows is run away. But apparently it's very difficult for Goku to counterattack because according to him, the Universe 12 gods' attacks are too voracious. Jiren gives up his physical attacks and raises his hands, evoking a powerful Hakai in the form of a giant globe of energy that even scares Goku. Jiren launches the energy, forcing Goku to dodge. When the larger attack is avoided, the 12th Universe Destroyer fires several smaller shots in the form of multiple energy spheres. Flying low to the sea, Goku dodges the rain of attacks which falls on the waters like a violent storm that stirs them up. Taking advantage of Ultra Instinct's excellent dodging skills, Goku manages to avoid the shots one by one, much to Jiren's frustration. Jiren gives up on his attempts from a distance and approaches once again, shouting at Goku to get back. He intercepts Goku's flight, stopping in his way, saying he caught him. Goku, who is flying at high speed, won't be able to stop in time. Jin prepares a punch and delivers a blow that generates such great pressure that it creates a line of destruction, breaking through the wall of the planet and leaving a huge damage. However, Goku dodged it in time, although barely. The counter-attack comes immediately, with the Saiyan agile and skillfully passing under the arm of the Universe 12 God, invading his guard to deliver a precise punch to the opponent's pain point. Goku's fist is as strong as it is accurate, causing an explosion of impact that reverberates to their surroundings, destroying everything around it. Jin really suffered this attack, with the pain clearly written on his face. However, with pain comes opportunity, and he uses it to grab Goku, who is alarmed by this. Jin smiles, saying that Goku is his now. His hand comes, grabbing the Saiyan's neck tightly, who feels the other god's hand crushing his throat. Jin continues his movement, lifting Goku and taking him down to bury the other destroyer with everything on the island's floor until they reach the sea. Goku understands what Jin did. He let himself be hit on purpose to catch him. Looking at the hole left by the other two on the ground, Vados admits to Martinu that it was a smart move by Jin. They then stop flying over land and go to sea. Vados continues what she was saying, noting that Jin knew he would miss that attack because of Ultra Instinct's extremely sharp reflexes. However, he used Goku's instinctive and thoughtless movement to get a chance to capture him. Martinu confirms. She adds that a movement made instinctive is essentially a movement made without thinking. This means that it is likely to open gaps. Martinu says that after the Tournament of Power, Jin did his homework on Ultra Instinct, and it seems like it was worth it. Later, I would like to give a slightly more elaborate explanation about this strategy used by Jin and these comments from Martinu and Vados. It's a really cool explanation that even explains the science behind Ultra Instinct, so stay until the end of the video, okay? Well, continuing. After listening to Jin's plan on how to combat Ultra Instinct, Vados tells Martinu that she just doesn't understand the point in submerging Goku in water, since he won't drown. Martinu says that this strategy has to do with a special characteristic of Jin race, which has an aquatic origin. The truth is that when Jin comes into contact with water in the middle of a fight, his physical capabilities double. This lasts for as long as he is in the water and for a few minutes after he leaves. In short, Jin is twice as strong now. Vados gets a little worried and says this is a problem. At sea, the God of Destruction from Universe 12 descends deeper and deeper, carrying Goku by the neck, saying that he is finished. In this critical situation, Goku sees no other way. Suddenly, the sea starts to get really rough. Martinu feels something that alarms her and asks if that is what she thinks it is. Vados confirms her suspicions and guarantees that things will now go to the next level. An explosion happens on one of the planet's side walls. Then, Jin comes out of the smoke, injured. Stopping the movement forced by the push he suffered at the time of the attack, he looks seriously in the direction he came from, realizing that Goku has finally decided to use this power. From the water flowing beyond the hole, Goku reappears. Jin looks at him with concern. Girdled by the power of destruction, Goku displays his God of Destruction transformation. Chapter 36. The Fight of the Gods of Destruction. Part 2. Around the planet of destruction of Universe 12, an intense combat takes place in the form of multiple figures and impact waves, indicating the confrontation of two extremely fast and strong combatants. The combatants are the owner of this planet himself, the God of Destruction of Universe 12, Jin, and also his visitor, the God of Destruction of Universe 6, Goku. The host is pressured by his visitor, retreating as the other advances, who attempts combined quick, strong, and precise blows. Traces of their movements are made around them as the exchange of blows continues. Goku faces his opponent voraciously, yet calmly, making clear his comfortable position at this point in the fight. Opposite to this, Jin grinds his teeth in a sign of irritation, showing a phase of discomfort in the fight that, a few moments ago, was completely under his control. A small waterfall leaks from the hole opened in the side of the planet, the work of Goku just a few moments ago. Brandishing her magical glowing staff, Martinu begins to fix this, starting the repair process, watched by her sister, Vados. Vados comments that Jin is in a bad situation now because using the power of destruction combined with Ultra Instinct, Goku finds the perfect balance between technique and brute power. Vados must be very proud of herself, since at the beginning of the fight between the two, she confessed to her sister that she wanted to test herself as a master through this fight between their students. Martinu admits that it is very impressive that Goku can do such a thing, especially at such a young age. As the two masters comment on the combat, it continues frantically across the planet's skies, both gods attacking with multiple sequential blows. At one point, their fists end up meeting, generating a powerful shockwave that spreads across the surroundings, reaching the planet's waters and causing a stir in Jin's private sea, whose waters are rocked due to the great force exerted by the destroyers. Both Jin and Goku try hard in this fist fight. This is proven by the expressions on their faces. The advantage belongs to Goku, who, overcoming his rival's strength, pushes and destabilizes him. Subsequently, Goku takes advantage of the opening in Jin's guard to deliver a strong kick that launches the God of Universe 12 from the sky to one of the side buildings of his planet. Goku doesn't take long to go down to where his opponent fell, looking for him in one of the building's several arches. After not finding Jin, Goku suggests that they don't waste time and asks him to get out of where he is. Below the Saiyan god, the waters are agitated, and then the sea spits out its god. Jin emerges from the waters, attracting Goku's attention with an attack prepared in his hand in the form of an accumulation of destructive energy. Such a hand that the god of destruction of the 12th universe raises, conjuring the name of his technique, Claws of Destruction. Goku pays attention when he notices that a special attack is coming. Jin attacks with an armful in the air. In this gesture, making concentrated lines of energy appear in the form of claws projected towards Goku. Seeing the approach of the attack that is probably too fast for him to dodge, the Saiyan immediately raises his arms to defend himself. Jin's Claws of Destruction zip past Goku, slicing through the sturdy construct behind him as easily as a sword cuts through a block of butter. However, on Goku's body the result was nothing more than measly scratches on his arms, proving that the body of Universe 6's God of Destruction is as resistant as a fortress. Jin is surprised to see the lack of effectiveness of his technique, disbelieving that only a scratch was made. Goku proclaims that it is now his turn and goes against the other destroyer. His look and posture anticipate a powerful offensive. Jin doesn't intend to let that happen and rains down a shower of energy shots in front of the enemy. Taking advantage of Ultra Instinct's excellent dodging ability, Goku skillfully passes through the other deity's shots, advancing through the attacks in a way unexpected for Jin, who sees this with great alarm. The god of Universe 12 gives up on smaller attacks and resorts to a much larger attack, raising his hands to generate a big mass of power that he quickly launches against the one who approaches. None of this works with Goku, who once again uses his Ultra Instinct to avoid what is thrown at him and finally reaches his target with an already prepared blow. Jin can do nothing but be impressed. Now unleashing his devastating offensive from the energy of destruction, Goku punches Jin squarely in the face. The force of impact is such that it causes an explosion of power to reverberate to the surroundings, lighting up the skies and shaking the air of the planet. Jin is pushed from the sky to the sea by Goku's punch. Even after being submerged in the waters, he continues to sink deeper and deeper until he reaches the bottom of the planet and passes through it, still being pushed by the massive force of that blow even after being expelled from his own domains. But Goku hasn't finished yet. At very high speed, he goes around the planet to get behind Jin, who is caught off guard by the enemy's great speed. Goku goes against Jin, stopping his movement with a devastating kick to the back of the Universe 12 God of Destruction, a blow of dizzying force that causes great pain to the destroyer. An impact explosion occurs, and Jin is sent back to his planet, opening another crater in its structure. Martinu doesn't like seeing this at all and complains as she wonders how many holes she will need to fix. Jin now goes the entire way in reverse, going from the bottom to the top of the planet, being expelled by the sea and forcefully heading towards the skies again. He is astonished by Goku's incredible performance, noting that in addition to Ultra Instinct's incredible defensive capabilities and precision, he has all the ferocity and attack power of a god of destruction. Above him, Goku appears. The Saiyan god gives no quarter, already forming a highly concentrated Kamehameha. Jin becomes alarmed again, this time bordering on despair to see what his opponent intends. He raises his ki to abruptly stop his forced displacement. But it's too late. Goku extends his arms and shouts his attack, releasing concentrated power with all his determination, showing no hesitation in ending this fight once and for all. The energetic torrent released by the God of Destruction of Universe 6 is gigantic, sweeping away not only Jin, but also part of the structure of the God of Destruction of Universe 12's planet, like a real wave that sweeps away the fragile sand of the beach. In another universe, another warrior has difficulty too. This warrior is Broly, who is thrown from the sky to the ground with great force, feeling the pain of the impact with the ground. Later, another person descends from the sky with equal power, striking Broly with a knee of crushing violence that shakes the larger warrior, drawing his blood and causing him great agony. Vegeta grabs Broly by his clothes, demanding that the legendary Saiyan use that power he showed on Earth. Broly is reluctant, stating that he can't use it. A punch in the face comes, followed by a reprimand. Vegeta asks if Broly wants to die, revealing his intention to kill him if necessary. Broly insists on denying it, justifying that if he uses more power, he will lose control and hurt his friends. More punches come. Vegeta asks if he would rather die than use his power and accuses Broly of being a disgrace. The Destroyer Warrior asks what Broly thinks his enemies will do to his friends if he loses the fight. Broly has no answer. By his behavior, he has already given up arguing or fighting. Vegeta decides to calm down, stopping attacking his opponent to think better. He sighs and says that if Broly doesn't use all of his power, it will be of no use in his training. The Prince of Saiyan's mind is visited by an idea that for some reason brings a malicious smile to his face. Vegeta reveals that he already knows how to solve this problem. Broly is a little worried by this statement, disturbed by what Vegeta meant by that. The answer comes with a movement. Vegeta's hand is pointed towards those watching in a threatening gesture. Chilai and Lemo are shocked, with the latter questioning in disbelief if this is some kind of joke. Beerus and Whis, on the other hand, know it's no joke. The first suggests that it's time to get the hell out of there. The second agrees. It doesn't take long. The divine duo walks away, leaving the two mortals alone and deserted, with Chilai begging them to return. Broly asks Vegeta what he's doing, even though he already has an idea of his intentions. Chilai and Lemo also know what's coming, and they are very scared. Mouths open and eyes wide, they pay attention to Broly and Vegeta, waiting for the latter's response. Vegeta tells Broly that the answer is simple. If these two are what's stopping Broly from using his full power, then all he needs to do is eliminate them. He suggests that the Saiyans say goodbye to his friends. Terrified, Broly yells at Chilai and Lemo to run. Vegeta doesn't give them a chance and fires his shot. Chilai and Lemo try to run, but the attack catches up to them. An explosion goes off. Broly screams in the purest act of despair. In contrast, Vegeta smiles. He says this is what happens when someone counts on a cowardly protector like him. When the dust raised by the explosion begins to settle, it is seen that there is nothing left where Broly's two dear friends were other than some dusty traces of what they were just seconds ago. Broly looks at this in disbelief, realizing that what he feared most had actually happened. Vegeta confirms, saying that they are dead. He tells Broly that he doesn't need to worry as he is about to join them. Overcome with pain and fury, Broly shouts a curse at Vegeta, abruptly releasing a huge amount of power that destroys a vast region of the ground around him, while a frantic ki aura rises, pushing Vegeta away from him. Once away, Vegeta watches his opponent with a smile, saying happily that they are finally speaking the same language. Broly shouts his battle cry. His golden hair reveals the legendary warrior's Super Saiyan, and the disappearance of the pupils of his eyes reveals the loss of his sanity. Overcome with fury and madness, Broly charges forward, vowing to completely crush Vegeta. In Universe 12, with Jin's private sea leaking from his own planet, we see a glimpse of the damage caused by Goku's latest attack on the home of the God of Destruction. Only after executing that powerful attack does Goku realize he overdid it. He feels bad for having been momentarily carried away by Kakarot's impetus for destruction and admits that he ended up overreacting. Goku wonders worriedly if Jin is okay. Martinu's concern, however, is not the damage that her student may have suffered, but rather the damage caused to the planet, which she will need to repair. Watching his sister work, Vados comments that that energy discharge had enough power to kill even a god of destruction and admits that Goku crossed the line. She also expresses concern for Jin and asks if he is okay. On the other hand, Martinu is much less worried. She gives her sister a calm smile and asks if she forgot that Goku isn't facing any amateur. This question makes Vados a little curious. In the great waterfall that leaks from the planet of destruction, a true vortex begins, accompanied by a strong light. Suddenly, a whirlwind of power manifests itself in the form of a large tornado spreading wind, water, and energy throughout the environment. Goku is startled, needing to put some effort to avoid being carried away by this blast of pressure exerted by this titanic power released. The Saiyan recognizes that it is Jin's ki. However, it is very different now. Goku becomes even more alarmed when he sees something. Jin's silhouette begins to appear in the running water, and it looks really different. Startled, Goku seems to understand what this different appearance is about. Noticing his opponent's astonishment, Jin sarcastically asks what happened, and if Goku thought he was the only one who can use the power of energy of destruction. Jin, Universe 12's God of Destruction, reveals a secret transformation after being pushed to the limit by Goku using his God of Destruction form. After further provoking Broly's wrath, Vegeta is held by the head while his face is violently rubbed against the floor of the parallel dimension that Whis chose for this fight. After thinking he's dragged Vegeta's face across the ground enough, Broly flies high into the air, still holding the Prince of Saiyans by his hair. With clenched fists, he begins pummeling Vegeta directly in the abdomen, causing him immense pain, as the force of Broly's punches even seems to go right through his opponent's body. Broly stops the abdominal punches and, after lifting Vegeta's face, slams him down with all his strength against his knee, testing the durability of Vegeta's teeth and nose. The attack causes excruciating pain to the smaller Saiyan, making blood spurt from his mouth and leaving Vegeta astonished by the force of the blow. Broly doesn't give him a break. His next move is to lift Vegeta with the strength of one arm and then slam him downward, this time aiming his face toward the ground. Like a jet rapid in energy from his immense speed and power, Broly drives the other warrior into the ground, smashing his face against the hard surface with such force that cracks, shockwaves, and a loud collision sound reverberate through the surroundings. Broly isn't done yet. Once again, he flies up, gaining space to gather momentum for his next strike, and the next blow comes indeed, with the hulking Saiyan coming down again, his knee ready to crush his opponent, while the other man lies face down, prematurely writhing in agony from the pain he's about to endure. Broly delivers the blow, using his knee to land a crushing strike that slams into the other Saiyan's back with such violence that it makes him scream out in unbearable pain. Nearby, the two deities watch. Beerus watches the whole scene, slightly disturbed. He comments that this is the first time he's personally seen Broly fight. On Earth, he could feel Broly's power, but he hadn't seen it with his own eyes. The God of Destruction remarks that Broly is a truly insane beast. Whis notes that Broly's power has been elevated to incredible levels with his green-haired transformation. He's completely different from how he was just a minute ago. A punch from Broly lands squarely on Vegeta. The next one, the prince barely defends, but he doesn't block the next blow. A lower arm strike that hits him hard, and he's hit by the next one too, which pushes him back. While Vegeta is still trying to recover, Broly charges at him again. A flurry of blows targets the purple-haired warrior, highlighted by a powerful punch that destabilizes his guard, followed by another one that does the same. But in the next strike, Vegeta's face barely moves, The expressions of pain give way to a fierce smile and intense glare directed at the legendary Saiyan, signaling that it's now his turn. Broly fears for this, and he has good reason to be. The first counterattack is a perfectly aimed punch to his abdomen, making the larger Saiyan double over in pain, even paralyzing him for a moment. Vegeta puts so much force into his strike that it releases a shockwave of energy strong enough to launch Broly, dazed, into the air, manifesting his energy in the form of lightning. The Saiyan of Destruction demands more. He orders Broly to unleash more power. A surge of power rises toward Broly, the same technique that many years ago wiped out Nappa, the prince's loyal companion. But of course, this is a much more powerful version of the technique, strong enough to even scare the Berserk warrior, who takes the hit with pain and plummets from the sky after being struck. The barrage of attacks isn't over yet. The Ultra Ego warrior points his hand at the Berserker and fires his Big Bang attack. A small yet immensely powerful energy sphere leaves Vegeta's hand, hitting Broly in midair, culminating in a massive explosion. After so many attacks, the Emerald Warrior falls. He gets up shortly after, but not without showing clear signs that his body has paid a heavy price for enduring all of this. Responding to Whi's earlier comment, Beerus agrees that Broly is evolving with every second. On the other hand, the power of destruction fuels Vegeta's warrior spirit, making him grow stronger as a result. Vegeta lands on the ground, newly wrecked by his opponent's fall. Not satisfied with everything Broly has shown so far, he provokes him even more. He asks if this is all Broly can do, where his rage is, and if he really wants revenge for what happened to his friends, Chilai and Lemo. The warrior of destruction mocks the legendary Saiyan's feelings for his friends, saying they were weak. Hearing this, Broly finally snaps for good, grabbing his head, perhaps trying to contain his madness. With his growing rage, Broly starts to release his ki, first spreading it across the ground around him, and then manifesting it into a massive pillar of power, sustained by a surging energy that leaves only the shadow of the Emerald Warrior visible. Whis and Beerus watch the colossal energy release with great caution, as does Vegeta. But for Vegeta, this is great. He praises Broly for reaching this point, noting that right now, he's just surpassed the power he used against Gogeta on Earth. Beerus comments that Broly has just broken through his limits once again. Whis says it's interesting. On one side, there's a Saiyan using divine powers, fueled by the drive to fight and destroy. On the other, there's a Saiyan powered by the most primal wild instincts of this warrior race. Which power will prove superior in the end? Broly and Vegeta charge at each other simultaneously, launching into the air with tremendous force and meeting in the middle, clashing as they are ready to give it their all in this battle. And before continuing, I want to make Whis' question my own to all of you. Who do you think will win this fight? Do you think Vegeta, able to grow stronger because of his desire for destruction thanks to Ultra Ego, will come out on top? Or do you think Broly, who can evolve extraordinarily thanks to the power of the legendary Super Saiyan, will win? On one hand, Broly's potential for gain power in battle is definitely much greater than Vegeta's. But on the other hand, Vegeta started this fight much stronger than Broly, so Broly has already had to evolve a lot more to get to this point. Also, both of them are extremely worn out, whether from injuries or energy depletion. Vegeta just acknowledged that Broly has now surpassed the power he used against Gogeta on Earth. That doesn't mean he's surpassed Gogeta, but rather his own version from the fight against Gogeta. In that fight, Broly was powerful enough to withstand a battle with Super Saiyan Blue Gogeta for a time. So does that mean he's now as strong as, or even stronger than, Super Saiyan Blue Gogeta? Can Vegeta handle this? Comment below with your thoughts, because I'm curious to know what you all think. Now continuing, while this Saiyan clash unfolds in Universe 7's present, an unexpected figure appears on planet Vegeta. Decades in the past, the time machine lands in the middle of a desert on the planet, and out steps Goku, looking curiously from side to side, noticing there's nothing around. Eager to explore, Goku starts walking around, seeing that he landed in a barren place and wondering if he came to the right planet, but then he concludes that he must be in the right place. After all, Ms. Vados wouldn't have gotten the coordinates wrong. Suddenly, Goku's thoughts are interrupted by a loud crack, that catches his attention, making the Saiyan god of destruction look down, wondering what caused the noise. It turns out Goku had just stepped on a skull which cracked under his weight. This startles him, making him question what kind of place this is. Goku bows and apologizes, making it clear it wasn't his intention to disrespect the dead. However, he's not alone in this place. A monster emerges from the sand, ready to devour the Saiyan god. Chapter 39. Planet Vegeta invaded. Prince Vegeta vs God of Destruction Goku. Goku is paying his respects to the corpse he accidentally desecrated when a monster that emerged from the sand sneaks up behind him, ready to devour the newly arrived God of Destruction. At first, it seems like Goku didn't notice the creature. However, just as he's about to be swallowed by the monster, he uses one of his fingers to stop the creature by one of its fangs, halting the giant thing with absolutely incredible ease. Then, Goku flicks the monster with a simple gesture, which, despite requiring no apparent effort from him, ends up being extremely powerful for the creature, sending it flying. Goku tells the monster he doesn't have time for it and watches for a moment as the creature is sent so far away that it disappears from his sight. Goku takes another look at the corpse he stepped on, realizing that he has landed in a remote and dangerous part of the planet. He closes his eyes and focuses. It doesn't take long for him to sense the civilized areas by detecting people's ki, and what grabs his attention the most is a place where, according to Goku, most of the planet's strongest energies are concentrated. The place Goku is referring to is a majestic castle, which we already know to be the royal castle of the planet, where the Saiyan royalty of Universe 7 lives. But before Goku can think about going there, he's called by Kakarot, who asks him to wait and questions if Goku plans to go around dressed as a god of destruction. Goku asks, "What's wrong with that?" Kakarot explains that he has access to Goku's memories, including one where Vegeta tells Goku about the time when Beerus came to the Saiyan planet and terrorized the king. Kakarot is definitely referring to that iconic moment when Beerus humiliates King Vegeta because a pillow, and the young Prince Vegeta witnesses it, shocked and terrified. As far as I can remember, there isn't a scene in the Dragon Ball Super manga or anime where Vegeta tells Goku about this moment, but I believe it's not unreasonable to say that Vegeta could have told Goku off-screen, as it's an important event involving him and Beerus, which also explains Vegeta's trauma and fear of the Universe 7 God of Destruction. So just to clarify, this memory Kakarot mentions doesn't officially exist, but it's something perfectly coherent to add. But anyway, back to the chapter. After Kakarot mentions this, Goku remembers and agrees with him, saying that if he goes around in this outfit, it would cause problems and their plan would fall apart. Kakarot points out that Goku needs a disguise. Goku says this outfit is all he has for now. Kakarot concludes that there are many soldiers living on the planet, so disguising himself as one shouldn't be a problem. Goku should take the clothes from the corpse he just stepped on. Goku is stunned when he suggests this and says that it's very wrong. The energy of destruction reminds him that Goku said he'd do anything for training. He emphasizes that Goku is now a god of destruction and can't limit himself over such trivial things. Goku ends up giving in. He apologizes to the corpse but says it's for a good cause, in this case, the salvation of all universes. And besides, it's not like a skeleton needs clothes, right? After a while, Goku finishes putting on the skeleton's outfit, which oddly reminds someone. Goku doesn't really like this outfit, and the reason is that he feels kind of like a villain wearing it. Kakarot, on the other hand, more than approves. Now Goku is ready to head to that place full of strong guys. But first, he remembers that he can't leave the time machine lying around even in a desolate place. He decides it's better to hide it, just to be safe. And before I continue with the chapter, I'll just ask you to leave a like on the video. It's super quick and doesn't cost you anything, but it really helps boost this video's reach on the platform, and as a result, helps more people discover Dragon Ball Hakai. Also, subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet, because that way you'll always stay up to date on everything related to Dragon Ball Hakai and the other content on the channel. Have you already liked and subscribed? Then let's continue with the chapter. At the royal castle of planet Vegeta, Goku has just arrived using instant transmission. He's impressed by the size of the castle and comments that it reminds him a bit of the one he saw on planet Sadala. But Goku doesn't have much time to admire the place, as a group of soldiers quickly approaches, shouting orders at him. Goku asks if there's a problem. The soldier leading the group, a bald man with a white beard and a cape, says it's obvious there's a problem, as it's forbidden to approach this place without permission or an appointment. He also wants to know how Goku managed to get there without being detected by their scouters. The truth is, Goku wasn't detected because he used instant transmission, but he thinks it's better not to tell them that, so he lies, saying it must have been luck. The older Saiyan guard says Goku's luck is about to run out and demands that he state his name. Goku starts to think about this. He then flashes back to a few minutes earlier when he was just finishing burying the time machine in the desert. After the job is done, he feels satisfied, saying no one will find the machine there. While Goku is doing this, Kakarot is thinking about the issue of what name he should use. Goku asks if he can't just use his own name. The energy of destruction responds no. Son Goku isn't a Saiyan name, and he also can't use his birth name because his child version already exists at this point in the past. Goku asks what name he should use then. Kakarot says that based on the names of all the Saiyans Goku has met, he came up with a name he really likes, and he's going to tell him now. Back to the present, Goku smiles and very confidently introduces himself to the guards, saying his name is Turles. Upon hearing this name, one of the guards says he's never heard of him and orders him to say where he's from. Goku, now going by the name Turles, doesn't know exactly how to respond and just says he was in a desert where monstrous creatures live. Another guard is stunned when he hears this, astonished, questioning if Turles came from the desert of darkness. With no better idea, he just confirms it, relieved that someone said a name. Another guard asks, who in their right mind would be in that place? The other guard takes a good look at Turles and remembers that there was a group of rebel criminals wearing armor of that color. The guard who asked the last question also notices this now and recalls that a group of soldiers led by Zorn raided those bandits' hideout and eliminated most of them, but a few managed to escape to the desert of darkness. This guy must be one of those who escaped and came to the castle seeking revenge. Turles becomes very worried when they make these insinuations and assures them that it's not like that and he didn't come to cause trouble. But the older guard has heard enough and orders him to be silent, promising the scoundrel that they're going to tear him to pieces. And so, a barrage of ki blasts flies toward Goku, who begins to panic. Goku starts dodging the attacks, completely desperate that everything went downhill so quickly. Kakarot becomes very irritated, saying that Goku is an idiot and that the last thing he should do is make enemies in the castle. Goku retorts, saying he only put on the clothes because Kakarot told him to. The energy of destruction gets angry and orders him to shut up, not willing to take the blame. One of the guards gets really angry, saying nothing hits Turles and that he's incredibly lucky. The leader of the group goes forward, determined to smash his face with his own hands. But Turles reacts, and with a punch in the air, he hits the leader of the guards with a strong shockwave, forcing the older guard to fly backward toward the castle. Through the corridors of the castle walk young Vegeta and his loyal companion, Nappa. Nappa is excited, praising Vegeta, saying his training was excellent as always. Vegeta, on the other hand, is very grumpy, complaining that these training sessions are getting more and more boring since there's no one on the planet who can offer him any challenge. Their conversation is interrupted when someone crashes into the castle, breaking through one of the walls and slamming into the opposite one. It's the guard who was thrown by the force of Goku's punch, already completely defeated. Both Vegeta and Nappa are startled by this since it happened so suddenly. The prince asks what this means. The guards outside wonder what's going on and how Goku, with just the force of a swing in the air, pushed the sergeant like that. One of them starts measuring Goku's power with his scouter and is stunned when the number it reaches is 10,683. Another one is equally shocked, shouting that it's impossible. Kakarot reminds Goku that those devices they're using can measure people's power levels. He knows Goku used very little power, just to counter the attack from that guy. But even that insignificant amount is already impressive to this bunch of weaklings. Goku needs to lower his ki immediately to avoid suspicion. Goku quickly does as he's told and focuses on lowering his power level. This causes confusion in the other guard measuring his strength, since, according to his scouter, Turles' power level is only 416. The same result is shown by the third soldier's scouter as well. The first guard who measured comes to the conclusion that his scouter must be malfunctioning, which makes more sense as this idiot couldn't possibly be that powerful. In his mind, Goku explains that he tried to leave his ki at the same level as when he fought Raditz. At that time, he was much weaker than his brother, so he figured that this power level would convince these guys. Kakarot praises Goku for the choice and says that these guys are weaklings, so he can fool them until he finds a way out of this situation. One of the guards, apparently taking charge of the group, says they'll finish Turles off in a second, but they stop immediately when someone orders them to. The one who shouted that order was none other than the great prince of the Saiyans, Vegeta, or rather, the little prince, accompanied by his large companion, Nappa. When Goku sees this miniature version of Vegeta, he recognizes him instantly. The guards bow before the prince, greeting him with all respect and fear. Referring to Turles, Vegeta questions who this worm thinks he is to damage his castle, and says he'll personally eliminate him. Goku doesn't like hearing this at all, realizing things just got a lot more complicated. Chapter 40. Planet Vegeta Invaded. Prince Vegeta versus God of Destruction Goku. Part 2. After one of the castle walls is broken due to Goku, who threw a Saiyan soldier into it, Vegeta gets absolutely furious, asking who this vermin thinks he is for breaking the wall of his castle, and saying he'll take him down personally. Goku gets very worried about this, as given his current situation there, dealing with Vegeta is going to be a problem. One of the guards asks Vegeta if he's sure about this, noting that Goku, or in this case Turles, is nothing but scum, and it's not worth Vegeta dirtying his royal hands on someone like him. Nappa ends up doubting what this soldier is saying a bit, as they had just seen Sprout get defeated, and Sprout isn't just any soldier, he's a mid-class Saiyan, a highly experienced elite warrior who's even responsible for external surveillance of the royal castle. So it seems that the name of the older warrior we saw in the last chapter is Sprout, and he's what they call a mid-class Saiyan, a special rank. The soldiers confirm that Turles is a weakling, as they measured his power level, and it's only 416. One of them theorizes that with Turles' power level being so low, what he did to Sprout was nothing but luck. Sprout definitely underestimated him and let his guard down, which is why he was defeated like that. Nappa decides to see for himself and also checks Turles' power level with his scouter, which also reads 416. Nappa then agrees there's no way Sprout could have lost to Turles under normal circumstances, and concludes that he must have indeed lost because he let his guard down and got caught by some dirty trick of these guys. Remembering that Goku, to avoid attracting attention on planet Vegeta, is posing as a low-class Saiyan named Turles and is purposely lowering his power to appear weak. After seeing with his own eyes, or rather with his scouter, that Turles is a weakling, Nappa suggests Vegeta let him or the guards handle this guy, as a nobody like him isn't worth the prince's time. Besides, they still don't know what kind of trick Turles used against Sprout. Vegeta scolds Nappa, saying that he's not like Sprout and won't let himself be beaten by a low-level individual like this, no matter what kind of cheap trick he uses. Vegeta says the castle belongs to his family, and he won't allow his family's property to be damaged by an insignificant being like Turles. After saying these things, Vegeta smiles and concludes by saying that he was already in the mood to crush some insect today anyway. In the end, it seems that all of this is just an excuse for Vegeta to give King Yama some work. Goku gets very worried, realizing that Vegeta is actually going to attack him. Kakarot is also quite concerned, recalling that as far as they know, Vegeta is one of the strongest people on the planet, even though he's just a child. If it even seems like Turles can handle his attacks, it'll raise a lot of suspicion. Vegeta points two fingers at Turles and tells the clown to start dancing. Goku panics at this and actually starts doing it, beginning to dodge Vegeta's ki lasers while dancing. But it seems Vegeta's intention is for Turles to dodge them so he can have a little fun. Vegeta laughs and asks Turles if he thinks it's a good workout. In his thoughts, Goku notes that Vegeta's attacks are actually very slow for him, but he has to pretend to dodge awkwardly and clumsily to make it seem like it's difficult. Goku is a bit irritated by this, saying it's humiliating. Kakarot agrees with him, saying it's disgraceful for a god of destruction to be in this position, but it's the best thing to do for his training. After making Turles dance a bit, Vegeta finally gets tired and says that's enough. He says that although it's fun to see a fool like Turles dancing in desperation, his royal time is far too precious to waste on a random loser. The Saiyan Prince practically licks his lips in anticipation of a bloodbath and tells Turles to get ready, as he's about to feel the worst kind of pain. Goku sees that he's now in big trouble, because if he dodges or blocks a direct hit from Vegeta, it'll raise too many suspicions. As he charges forward, determined to finish off this low-class vermin, Vegeta tells Turles he should be grateful to be killed by him. Kakarot shouts for Goku to think fast, and then, when Vegeta attacks, he's shocked to see Turles vanish right in front of him, wondering what's going on. Nappa then alerts Vegeta that there's something behind him. When Vegeta looks back, he sees Turles standing there, staring at him. Vegeta is very surprised by this and asks what just happened and how Turles managed to get behind him without being seen. Goku already thought about how to respond and simply makes up that he knows how to use magic tricks. Both Vegeta and the others around are dumbfounded when they hear these. Turles confirms and explains that while he was in the Desert of Darkness, he met a witch who taught him magic tricks. He says that what Vegeta just saw was one of those tricks. What he was looking at the whole time was an illusion. In reality, Goku moved at such a high speed that he left a residual image and got behind Vegeta without him noticing. But of course he can't say that, or they'd know he's much faster than Vegeta. Kakarot compliments Goku, saying that was well thought out. One of the guards comments that there are indeed many unknown things in the Desert of Darkness. Another guard, a bit scared, adds that he's heard there were sorcery users among the Saiyans centuries ago. Another guard, seemingly superstitious, tells Vegeta to be careful, as you never know what these kinds of people might do. Vegeta scolds the guards, telling them to shut up. He says all Turles can do is cheap tricks, and none of it matters if his power level is mediocre. Goku is now reminded of how Vegeta used to be, always relying too much on the numbers these devices measured, underestimating his opponents. Kakarot remarks that it seems they believed him, which is good, but Goku needs to find a way to leave soon. Fortunately, Goku already knows how to do that, smiling confidently. Vegeta notices Turles' smile and asks why he's laughing, wondering if this lowlife is mocking him and if he has no regard for his life. Turles mentions that Vegeta said his tricks don't work against his power, and challenges Vegeta to watch one more trick if he's so confident in his abilities. He provokes the prince, asking if he's brave enough to do it. The taunt seems to work. Vegeta says he's not afraid and decides to allow Turles to do his trick, but he warns that once he proves Turles' tricks are useless, he'll eliminate him once and for all. Turles then tells him to keep a close eye on him. Vegeta does so, and not only him, but the others as well. Everyone is curious and intrigued by the magic trick Turles is going to use. Then, Turles uses the solar flare, generating a powerful flash of light that catches everyone off guard and blinds them all. Taking advantage of everyone being blinded, Goku begins to find the direction he's going to take. He then focuses his gaze on a forest and decides to go there, executing instant transmission without anyone seeing. Upon arriving in the forest, Goku feels more at ease, confident that they won't find him there, since, in addition to being far away, he's lowered his ki even more. Kakarot asks if they won't suspect anything due to him leaving so quickly. Goku replies that they didn't see him use instant transmission, so they'll think he used some magic trick to hide. Kakarot concedes and admits Goku was very clever. He asks how Goku thought of using those techniques and saying he learned them from a witch. Goku explains that when he realized he should fight while pretending to be weaker, He could only think of his friends on Earth, who aren't very powerful and always have to rely on their techniques. That's how he thought to use the techniques he learned from them. As for the witch part, he ended up remembering fortune teller Baba, since he had said he came from the desert of darkness, and she's a pretty mysterious old lady. She just came to mind. Kakarot remarks that it's ironic for him to return to his home planet and think of things from that place, ending up saving his disguise by remembering Earth. Goku reflects on the coincidence of meeting Vegeta in this way and realizes that Vegeta was hot-headed and had a superiority complex from a young age. Back near the castle, the guards are searching for Turles while Vegeta waits, but they're unsuccessful. Vegeta is furious, asking how that bastard dares to cheat him like that. Nappa says they have to admit that even though he's weak, that guy is pretty crafty. One of the guards approaches, reporting that their scouters can't locate Turles, and apologizes to the prince. He says that Turles must have used some trick to hide himself. Vegeta says he'll personally find that scoundrel and make him pay for making a fool of him. At that moment, a cloaked soldier, whom Vegeta calls Zorn, approaches and calls for him. Zorn informs Vegeta that the king wants to see him immediately, adding that it's important. In the throne room of the royal castle, King Vegeta receives his son, who has just finished explaining what happened. Hearing about what went down outside his castle annoys King Vegeta, who complains that a weakling managed to cause so much trouble at his castle. King Vegeta then directs his gaze towards someone. The target of the king's stare is Sprout. King Vegeta asks how he, a mid-class Saiyan who is part of the planet's elite, could be defeated like that. The king demands to know if Sprout is no longer capable of honoring the cape he wears. Sprout, the soldier who was beaten by Turles earlier, kneels and asks for the king's forgiveness, assuring him that he'll be more cautious from now on. Sprout also says he'll gather some soldiers to search for this criminal and won't rest until he finds him. But Prince Vegeta says that's not going to happen. He'll personally deal with the cretin who dared to trick him. However, King Vegeta disappoints them both by saying that neither of them will be doing anything. Speaking to his soldier, King Vegeta explains that Sprout is responsible for the castle's external security, so it's not his job to go chasing down random criminals across the planet. The low-class soldiers will handle that. Sprout, even though perhaps disappointed at not being able to regain his honor, submits to the king's will. Next, the king addresses his son, saying that he has other things to focus on. In fact, the king summoned him for a different reason, not to discuss the intruder. The prince asks what this summons is about. The king announces that, starting today, Vegeta will participate in planetary conquest missions. He says his son has completed all the training required of a member of the royal family and more than proven his great potential. Now it's time to start leading soldiers in battle. Vegeta is pleased to hear this and says he's been waiting for this for a long time. King Vegeta looks toward the throne room doors and orders some people to enter. When the doors open, a group of soldiers enters. Taking a look at these soldiers, we see that it's Nappa, young Raditz, and two other warriors who we see alongside Vegeta, Nappa, and Raditz in the movie Dragon Ball Super Broly. Vegeta casts a slightly dissatisfied look at these new companions. King Vegeta tells his son that these will be his companions. Among them, Vegeta only knows Nappa. Vegeta glares at all of them, grumbling to his father that they don't seem like much. The king explains that, like Nappa, their power is still developing, but they have all been evaluated as potential mid-class warriors. Therefore, they hold this title even though they don't possess the same strength as those who currently serve the king, referring to the soldiers who wear capes. The king says this group will likely become the prince's elite in the future, just as he has his own. Vegeta scoffs at them, saying it doesn't matter as long as they don't get in his way. The king seems pleased with this team, saying that a team of potential mid-class warriors led by his son, a high-class warrior and a member of the royal family, will be unbeatable. The king looks towards someone at his side and tells his son that now the royal superintendent Breeds will provide the details of his mission. The said royal superintendent is standing beside him, ready to carry out the order. Switching back to Goku, or rather Turles, he walks through the forest, wondering what he should do, as after all that commotion, he can't just wander around aimlessly. He suddenly senses someone approaching. And he was right, as an old man emerges from a nearby bush, greeting him warmly. Turles asks who he is, The old man replies that he's just an old fellow who happened to run into Turles, but from his thoughts we find out he's not friendly or trustworthy at all. The truth is he tracked down Turles using a scouter he stole from some idiot soldier, but Turles buys the lie that the old man found him by chance and asks how he can help. The old man pulls a sack from his cloak and says that Turles actually can help. He explains that he's just a poor old man who makes a living selling fruit, but the fruit he sells isn't ordinary, it's a very special type. This piques Turles' curiosity, and he even moves closer for a better look. The old man pulls one of these fruits from the sack for Turles to inspect and explains that this fruit grows on a unique tree called the Tree of Might. He calls it the Fruit of Power. He goes on to tell Turles that the Tree of Might is the only one that can survive in the Desert of Darkness, thanks to its special energy. Anyone who eats a fruit from the Tree of Might will have their power multiplied many times over. Turles believes this story and thinks it's incredible. In his thoughts, the old man sneers, saying these warriors are all the same, blinded by their greed for power. This suggests he's probably tricked many people with this fruit before. A lucrative scheme, given that many Saiyans would be interested in something like this. Returning to his conversation with Turles, the old man observes from his armor that Turles is a warrior, so he asks if Turles wouldn't want to boost his powers and be hailed as a true warrior god. In his mind, Goku notes that he's already a god, and much stronger than anyone here, so he doesn't really need the Fruit of Power. On the other hand, he's quite hungry. Seeing Turles' interest, the old man lies and says that since he likes Turles, he'll sell it very cheaply. Turles apologizes, saying he doesn't have any money and can't buy the fruit. The old man quickly realizes Turles is penniless, but he can still sell his armor when Turles is dead. The old man then offers Turles a free bite of the Fruit of Power. He says he doesn't usually do this but will make an exception because he likes Turles. This surprises Turles, who feels very pleased, almost thrilled. The old man hands him the fruit and Turles takes a bite. The old man is delighted since according to him, just one piece of this poisoned fruit is enough to kill 3 men. Turles is a bit disappointed with the Fruit of Power, noticing no increase in his power. To make things worse, it tastes awful. He concludes that's all a myth. But now the old man reveals his true colors, pulling out a knife and telling Turles he shouldn't trust another Saiyan. He says that now that Turles is poisoned, he won't be able to fight. He'll kill Turles and take his armor, which must have some value. Now Turles understands everything, realizing this old man set a trap for him. Turles gets an idea and proposes a deal. If the old man wins, Turles will give him his armor. But if Turles wins, the old man will hand over his cloak and scouter. The reason Turles wants these items is that the cloak can help him disguise himself better. And since the soldiers use these scouters, it could be useful to have one too. Turles also decides to ask for the fruits. Even though they didn't make him stronger and tasted terrible, he's still hungry. The old man finds this amusing, saying Turles isn't in any position to challenge him because he's already dead. He's just speeding up the process by a few minutes. But just for fun, he'll accept the challenge. Turles is glad to hear that, saying they have a deal. The old man then lunges, ready to stab Turles. In a place called Baryon Village, the Saiyan people go about their daily lives. Some men return from a hunt, a blacksmith receives a customer, and 2 children are about to get into a fight. But something unusual is about to happen in that village. An outsider is arriving, and that outsider is none other than Turles, now wearing his new cloak and scouter, holding his Fruit of Power in hand. Meanwhile, back in the forest, that deceitful old man has discovered he messed with the wrong guy, and by now, he must be wondering why the fruit's poison didn't work. Back to the village. Goku is quite pleased with his disguise as Turles now, but the one even happier than him is Kakarot, who's really digging this look. Eating the fruit, Turles laughs with satisfaction, thinking he's hit the jackpot. But as he walks around the village, it becomes clear that Turles' disguise isn't as subtle as he thought. People quickly notice him and start wondering who this strange guy is. A village woman says she's never seen him around here before. She finds it odd how he's laughing and that he's wearing that cloak. Her friend comments that she's heard the army is looking for a criminal spotted near the castle. The first woman, without a doubt, concludes that this guy must be a criminal based on his behavior and suggests they inform the army. Her friend agrees. In the castle, King Vegeta is sitting reflectively on his throne when something suddenly catches his attention. What caught the king's attention was a report one of his elite Saiyans just received. After receiving the report, this Saiyan informs the king that a suspicious man was just reported in Baryon village, and it seems to be the same intruder from earlier. King Vegeta praises this man, whom he calls Gark, the commander of planetary surveillance. The king then orders Gark to send a group of soldiers to bring this troublemaker to him. Gark obeys promptly, saying he'll find the nearest group of soldiers and order them to capture this outlaw. Not too far from Baryon village, we see a completely destroyed village with bodies strewn across it. Everything points to a fierce battle having taken place there. Among the bodies, a group of warriors stands out. At the front of this group is a very familiar face who walks over to one of the bodies, much larger than the average Saiyan. This man steps on the head of the corpse and smiles. Chapter 41. Goku reunites with his parents. An absolutely fierce battle unfolds in a Saiyan village, with shadows darting around and explosions going off everywhere. A group of armed men fires at a woman advancing toward them, unfazed by their shots as she presses her attack. The woman lands a kick on one of the men, sending him flying toward the other two. She then concentrates energy in her hand and fires a powerful blast at her opponents. This woman is Fasha, a soldier from Bardock's elite. Fasha's blast explodes upon impact, wiping out the trio of enemies in the explosion. Immediately, Fasha notices more trouble. Another group of enemies approaching, firing multiple rounds at her. She readies herself to react, but before she can act, a man steps in front of her, telling her to leave this to him. This is another soldier from Bardock's elite, Shugesh. After protecting both Fasha and himself with an energy shield, Shugesh charges at the shooters, advancing despite their relentless gunfire. Once he's close enough to one of the opponents, his shield explodes, killing everyone in the vicinity. Elsewhere, two men fire at someone. That someone is Borgos, another soldier from Bardock's elite, who is currently holding two already defeated men in his hands. With both hands occupied, Borgos uses his mouth to unleash an energy blast at the enemies, overpowering their shots and consuming them in the blast. Borgos mocks them, calling them a bunch of weaklings. He notices something coming from above, and when he looks to the sky, he sees numerous defeated enemies falling like rain. One of the men, still conscious, begs for mercy from something approaching from above. That something is Tora, a soldier from Bardock's elite and second in command. He descends, delivering a brutal kick to the fallen warrior, driving his foot deep into the man's body before pulling it out, drenched in blood. Reuniting with his three companions, Tora asks if they're done. They confirm that they are. Tora is pleased to hear it and says that now only their leader remains. However, a voice from above says otherwise, drawing Tora's attention. The one who spoke is none other than Bardock himself, the group's leader, holding a massive man by the head as if he were nothing. Seeing the enemy leader defeated, the others smile. And if you want to make me smile too, leave a like on this video right now, so you don't forget later. Your like is super important for this video to reach more people on the platform and help Dragon Ball Hakai find more fans, so don't skip it, okay? Now, back to the story. After the battle, the group takes a moment to rest in the village. Shugesh, full of excitement, praises their leader Bardock, saying he's truly amazing for single-handedly defeating Verdon, the giant of the East. Borgos emphasizes how impressive this feat is, pointing out that Verdon was rumored to be a descendant of the mighty family of giants. Bardock, however, downplays the feat, responding that, descendant of the giant family or not, Verdon was just a low-class warrior, like himself. Fasha counters, saying that Verdun wasn't just any low-class warrior. He had a power level far above the average for their class. Tora, agreeing with the others, says Bardock shouldn't underestimate his achievements, but instead take pride in them. Their conversation is interrupted when someone calls Bardock through the communicator. The one contacting him is Gark, the commander of the planetary surveillance department. Gark informs them of an incident not far from their location involving a low-class criminal and wants Bardock and his team to handle it. Bardock sighs, then asks Gark to pass the details to Tora through his communicator, because he has something else to do. Gark agrees without questioning. Tora is surprised and curious about this delegation and asks what Bardock plans to do. Bardock explains that King Vegeta has been eager to hear about the takedown of the giant and his gang, so he wants to personally report to the king. He asks if Tora and the others can handle the situation, since it's just a low-class criminal causing trouble. Tora assures him they can and tells Bardock to go ahead. In the village, Goku, posing as the low-class Saiyan Turles, takes a walk but realizes that everyone is looking at him a lot. Kakarot remarks that he's probably being sought after because of what happened at the castle, and the guards who saw him might have given a description of his face. He suggests Turles should hide his face. Turles remembers feeling a hood inside his cloak, so he pulls it over his head to conceal his face, ensuring no one can see him. Suddenly, Turles' attention is drawn to a strong smell of food, and he remembers how hungry he is. The fruit of power he ate didn't satisfy his hunger and left a bad taste in his mouth. He declares that he needs more food. Kakarot tells him he doesn't need food since Goku is a god and doesn't require sustenance, eating only for pleasure. His hunger is purely psychological. But Turles insists that hunger is hunger and solves it by eating. Then he rushes off toward the source of the smell, despite Kakarot yelling at him not to. Turles arrives at a restaurant where a woman with a very familiar appearance is cooking. Turles gets excited, saying the food here looks delicious. Kakarot tells him to think things through, but Turles isn't interested in thinking. He approaches the woman and asks what's available to eat. She points to a corner of the restaurant, saying the ready-made food is over there. At the restaurant counter, there are several cauldrons of food, and when Turles sees them, he becomes ecstatic. Realizing it's useless to argue, Kakarot simply gives up. Soon enough, Turles has devoured all the food in those cauldrons. The woman, now confirmed to be Genie, comes over carrying another cauldron and apologizing for not paying much attention to him earlier as she was busy. But when Gin sees that all the food is already gone, she's utterly shocked, asking how he managed to eat it all since it was supposed to feed multiple customers. Turles says it's because he hasn't been eating much lately. Gin doesn't have time to listen to excuses and simply asks him to pay up because she needs to buy more ingredients. Turles doesn't look too happy when he hears the word money. Gin asks if he thought it was free, and in fact he did. Kakarot starts complaining, saying this is exactly what he was trying to warn about earlier. They don't have any money. Turles tries to justify himself, saying he misunderstood when she told him to eat as much as he wanted. But Gin, being very patient and not wanting to cause trouble, says he can pay later. However, she warns him not to try to skip out on the bill because her husband is a soldier who even leads a team. She asks Turles to tell her his name and where he's from. She also mentions that it's not polite to wear a hood covering his face and asks to see who he really is. Turles simply obeys everything she says. Even he doesn't understand why. He just feels compelled to do whatever she tells him. Turles begins to remove his hood, but suddenly a group shows up in front of the restaurant, drawing their attention. It's Bardock's elite, except for Bardock himself. Gin is surprised to see them there. Tora tells Gine to step away from that criminal immediately, which shocks her. Turles gets a little worried about being discovered. Shugesh, wasting no time, charges in to capture Turles. But Turles, politely asking Gin for permission, grabs the pot she's holding. As Turles takes the pot, Gin gets a better look at his face, and in that moment, she can't help but see Bardock's features in the man standing before her. Turles hurls the pot at Shugesh, catching him off guard and dunking his head into the food. Shugesh starts stumbling around, shouting in pain, and Turles takes the opportunity to trip him, making Bardock's elite soldier tumble and roll over the counter. Borgos and Fascia are surprised and immediately go on the offensive. Fascia throws a punch, but Turles, moving with skill and agility, grabs one of the restaurant's stools and uses his hand to deflect her punch, leaving her stunned as she misses completely. Then, Turles tosses the stool at Borgos, who's coming right behind her. Borgos smashes the stool with a punch, but before he can react, Turles is already sliding under him. Tora follows with a punch, but Turles skillfully evades with acrobatics, dodging Tora's attack. Gin scolds her husband's subordinate, telling him to be careful with the restaurant. Tora apologizes, After evading all of them, Turles makes a run for it. Tora orders his team not to lose sight of Turles, pointing out that he has a way of disappearing without a trace. They rush out of the restaurant after Turles, leaving Jean behind as she yells for them to wait. Turles is trying to get away when he's quickly caught up to and surrounded by the four. Still covered in food, Shugesh yells that Turles is going to pay for what he did. Goku reflects that to use instant transmission, he'll need to put more distance between himself and them. The problem is, they can fly much faster than he can if he wants to maintain this disguise. Since Turles, the person Goku is impersonating, is supposedly much weaker than these soldiers, flying too fast would blow his cover by revealing his superior power. Kakarot asks what Goku is going to do. Goku says he can't exceed the power level Turles is supposed to have. However, he senses that these soldiers aren't absurdly stronger than he is, unlike Vegeta was. This means he can counter their attacks as long as he doesn't show dominance. In this case, he'll rely on his skills, techniques, and tactics to handle them. If you're not yet subscribed to the Hakai channel, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications now so you won't miss upcoming chapters of Dragon Ball Hakai or any other Dragon Ball content we produce here, okay? Now back to the story. At the royal castle, Bardock is having his audience with King Vegeta to report on his latest mission. He concludes by stating that the rebel group, led by Verdun, the giant of the east, has been completely annihilated. They will no longer pose a problem. However, much like the leader of the rebel group recently eliminated by Zorn, Verdun insisted he was the legendary warrior, the Super Saiyan. It's worth noting that in chapter 39, it's mentioned that the armor Goku or Turles is currently wearing resembles the type used by a rebel group that Zorn, one of King Vegeta's elite soldiers, was tasked with destroying. This is one of the reasons why Turles was mistaken for a criminal, and why all this confusion started. Most likely, Bardock is talking about the leader of that criminal group. After hearing Bardock's report, King Vegeta sighs with both relief and concern. The king comments that this legend has been more vivid than ever in their people's minds recently. He doesn't blame them. As with the increasing exploitation by that damned Frieza, the people yearn for a hero to defeat that scum. The problem is that every idiot slightly stronger than average wants to proclaim themselves the Super Saiyan, and other fools end up following these imposters, rebelling against the king. The king's army has more than enough power to crush these imposters with ease. The real problem is that if this matter spreads too much, it could reach Frieza's ears and cause trouble. Bardock tells the king that, at the very least, he can assure him that Frieza won't hear about it from the giant of the east. King Vegeta is pleased to hear this and commends Bardock for doing a good job. He then asks how Verdun was defeated. Bardock replies that he defeated him in a direct fight. Verdun's power level was slightly higher than his, but Verdun wasn't very smart. King Vegeta finds this amusing, calling Verdun a joke. The story goes that the family of giants was full of fantastic warriors, many of whom reached the level of the middle class, with some even achieving the power of the high class. They were so strong that the king's ancestors feared them greatly because of their immense power. Verdun was very proud of being the last descendant of this noble family, but he was defeated by a low-class warrior. Bardock doesn't find it as funny, and the king, realizing he may have offended him, clarifies that wasn't his intention. He tells Bardock that he recognizes him as a benchmark for low-class warriors. The king uses this opportunity to mention that Raditz has been integrated into the same team as his son, the prince. Raditz has already shown latent potential to become a middle-class warrior and will probably even surpass Bardock in the future. Bardock takes this information rather coldly, simply stating that he hopes Raditz does a good job. The conversation is suddenly interrupted by someone urgently calling Bardock through a communicator. Bardock recognizes the voice in surprise. It's Jean. He asks what's going on and how she's speaking to him through a communicator. Gine replies that she's using Shugesh's scouter, which accidentally fell into her pot. Bardock demands to know how the hell Shugesh's scouter ended up in her pot. Gin tells Bardock to come over immediately because Tora and the others are turning their village upside down, trying to catch a criminal. Bardock is surprised to learn that the criminal ended up in their village, and his concern and shock catch King Vegeta's attention. Remember, Bardock didn't hear the information about the case involving Turles. He only requested the details be passed on to Tora, and likely left shortly after. This means he had no idea where Turles was. In the village, things are in complete chaos. Turles, with Fasha and Tora hot on his heels, flies at the maximum speed he can manage without raising suspicion. The speed at which they move stirs up the air, knocking over people and objects in the village. Suddenly, Borgos surprises Turles by emerging from behind a building, ordering him to stop. Right behind him comes Fasha, already prepared with a flying kick. But that Turles was just a mirage, and when she reaches him, he vanishes, leaving Fasha to miss and hit Borgos squarely. The two crash into a nearby building. Tora, seeing that the one they were chasing was nothing but a mirage, searches for the real one. The real Turles is behind a building, watching everything unfold. Seeing that his plan worked, he prepares to teleport away. But Shugesh shows up, frustrating Turles as someone is always nearby. The burly soldier cracks his fingers, eager for violence, and promises to turn him into porridge. Turles thinks for a moment about how to deal with this guy, but doesn't take long to come up with an idea. Shugesh charges at him, but all Turles needs to do is point a finger, and suddenly Shugesh stops in his tracks as his stomach starts rumbling. Shugesh clutches his stomach, realizing something's wrong. Kakarot, not understanding, asks what Goku just did. Goku explains that this guy seems like the type who eats a lot, so he figured a sudden bathroom emergency might happen. All he had to do was direct his telekinetic power to Shugesh's intestines. And voila! It's easy to cause that kind of reaction when the other person is much weaker than you. Desperate, Shugesh runs off, shouting that he can't wait any longer and needs to go now. Kakarot liked the idea, saying it was a great way to handle a weakling like that without raising suspicion, but he urged Goku to hurry up and get out of there. There wasn't enough time though, as Tora descended from the sky with an attack ready. Tora scolded Shugesh, saying that's what happens when you eat too much, but he promised to take care of it. Turles managed to dodge, and when Tora landed on the ground, he noticed something glowing beneath him, which promptly exploded and sent him flying. What Goku had just used was one of those energy traps he employed against Jiren in Dragon Ball Super. Goku quickly moved away, trying to get out of Tora's line of sight. He ended up heading toward a young Saiyan carrying some wood, and as Turles passed him, the young Saiyan, startled by the pressure of the air, tripped and dropped all the wood he was carrying. Fasha, now extremely irritated, charged at Turles, shouting that she'd had enough of this crap and preparing a powerful attack. But Turles suddenly stopped and struck a strange pose with his hands. Alarmed by this, Fasha hesitated to advance, prudently wondering what kind of technique he was about to use. Turles began making smooth hand movements, reminiscent of hypnotic gestures, and started singing a lullaby. It didn't take long for Fasha to fall completely asleep. Kakarot seemed to recognize the technique. Goku explained that he must have accessed these memories. This was the hypnosis technique Master Roshi used against him during the martial arts tournament when he was a child. The technique was called Yoiko Min Min Ken. The song Turles sang, which was also sung by Master Roshi in the original Dragon Ball manga during the martial arts tournament, is a traditional Japanese lullaby from the Edo region, now Tokyo, with various versions. This song is called Edo no Komoriuta, but it's more widely known as the Edo lullaby. Barely finishing with Fasha, Turles sensed something coming from behind and acrobatically dodged a powerful attack that destroyed the ground where he had been standing. The attacker was Borgos, now wielding two massive cleavers. Turles was dumbfounded at the sight of such large blades and asked where Borgos had gotten them. Borgos replied that he took them from the village butcher. He added that since Turles is such a sly one, it seemed fitting to chop his legs off. Turles was slightly surprised to learn such a massive weapon belonged to the butcher and grew curious about what kind of meat he was cutting. Borgos charged with the cleavers, launching a flurry of attacks. With Goku's mastery but Turles' insecurity, the cleavers are all dodged. After leaping away, Turles landed near the wood the young Saiyan had dropped earlier. Picking up a piece, he adopted a new combat stance, one reminiscent of a certain weapon Goku had used long ago, the power pole. Feeling more confident with the piece of wood in hand, Turles taunted Borgos, telling him to bring it on. And Borgos did. He unleashed a relentless series of attacks against Turles, who, demonstrating impressive skill, fended off every strike. Despite the fragile nature of the wood compared to Borgos' massive cleavers, Turles avoided the blades entirely, nullifying every attempt from the Saiyan soldier. After deflecting multiple attacks, Turles finally went on the offensive, launching a low strike aimed at Borgos' legs. Borgos managed to jump out of harm's way just in time. Descending from his leap, Borgos prepared what he believed would be the finishing blow, declaring that it's over for him now. But Turles' grin said otherwise. Planting the wood into the ground, he used telekinesis to grab Borgos midair, hurling him onto the wood. But first, the impact on his sensitive area left Borgos writhing in pain, immediately dropping the cleavers and howling in agony. Turles left Bardock's elite warrior utterly disoriented with pain. He nostalgically remarked that it had been a long time since he'd used that tactic. Goku was referring to a similar trick he had pulled on Ninja Murasaki back in one of the early arcs of classic Dragon Ball. Kakarot felt slightly embarrassed by it, calling it a classless move. As Turles began leaving the village, Jiren came running after him, pleading for him to wait. At that moment, another figure appears and Turles asks who it is this time. The newcomer is someone very familiar to us, and apparently he's familiar to Turles as well. Goku notices that this man looks just like him, and right away he starts suspecting who he might be. At that moment, a distant memory surfaces in Goku's mind. A memory from long ago where he's inside a spaceship and his parents are standing outside watching him as they say he must survive. This memory seems to unlock something in Goku as he enters a kind of shock. Goku begins piecing things together, seeming to understand now who this man is and who that woman he met earlier might be. Bardock comments that it looks like Turles caused quite a commotion around there, but as he prepares an attack, he declares that the fun is over now. Jiren comes flying in, shouting for Bardock not to do it and begging him to wait. But Bardock doesn't listen and fires an energy torrent at Turles. Unexpectedly, Jiren jumps in front of Turles, screaming even louder for Bardock to stop. Only now does Bardock notice Jiren there, and he panics, realizing what he's just done. At that moment, Turles seems to snap out of his shock. In a completely eccentric and unexpected way, Goku meets his parents and their friends. What's going to happen next? How will Goku react to this situation? Find out in the next chapters of Dragon Ball Hakai. So what did you all think of this massive chapter? Even though it was 73 pages long, I feel like it went by so quickly, right? Well, this mega chapter of Dragon Ball Hakai is our special New Year's and Christmas gift to you all. We wanted to end the year in style with this story, and I hope you enjoyed it. Comment below with your thoughts on the chapter and what you think will happen next. Also, let us know what you'd like to see happen from now on in Goku's adventure on planet Vegeta in the past. Remember, you can get early access to new Dragon Ball Hakai pages by signing up for our Patreon, so the wait for new chapters is much shorter. By joining Patreon, you not only get exclusive benefits, but also help keep this story alive. It's thanks to the heroes who support us that this manga is still going strong. So, if you want to become one of the heroes of Dragon Ball Hakai, sign up for our Patreon. The link to learn more is in the video description and the pinned comment. If you don't want to miss the next chapters of Dragon Ball Hakai or the many other types of content we bring to the channel, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. Also, don't forget to like the video because it helps a lot with the platform's reach, allowing Dragon Ball Hakai to reach more people. Your likes make a big difference. If you have a friend who's a Dragon Ball fan, share this video with them so more people can discover Dragon Ball Hakai. Remembering that if you want to read all the chapters of Dragon Ball Hakai, you can find them on our website, dbhakai.com. Check it out later. Finally, but no less importantly, if you're one of those true Hakaishins who made it to the end of the video, comment Goku meets Bardock and Genie, just so I know you made it this far. That's it everyone. A big hug to you all and see you in the next video.